of it. Mike McDaniel is on the hot seat, of course, so he has to do something. Here's why he decided to bench Tua.
I think Quinn gives this team the best chance to win. You know, our focus is obviously to win the next 3 games, but in particular, like I tell the players, we are focused on beating the Bengals, so that was the motivation. Zach will be backing him up, and Tua will be the emergency third.
Quinn Ewers on the start.
I think just to go out there and at the end of the day, play the football that I know. You know, it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm super thankful that the staff believes in me to go out there and give us an opportunity to go win an NFL football game. And I know going back on it, telling my 10-year-old, 12-year-old self, you know, the opportunity that I have in front of me, you know, he'd be pretty stoked.
New quarterback, new game. The Bengals are in town. We'll be talking about Tua, Ewers, and the Dolphins' lost season. This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. Tobin, Solana, Omar Kelly, and Chris Perkins on FM 104.3 WQAM. Miami's sports leader.
Game Day Uncensored on FM 104.3 WQAM is brought to you by the Lexus TX. Room for all your passions in 3 rows of luxurious comfort. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. By Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Catch massive savings on over 22 acres of new Buick and GMCs at Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Get backed by Morse and visit EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com. And by JM Lexus. JM Lexus has the best team in the business. A 4.8 Google rating with over 22,000 reviews and counting. JM Lexus, West Sample Road, Margate.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome on into another edition of Game Day Uncensored right here on FM 104.3 WQAM. Brendan Tobin alongside Alejandro Solana as we got Week 16 of the NFL season upon us. Dan Day producing for us here today as we are basking in some football glory in the last 24 hours as your Miami Hurricanes are moving on to the Cotton Bowl to take on those rat bastards from Ohio State. My throat was, my stomach was in my throat yesterday, Solana. I was not going, in a good place yesterday. I was very, very nervous watching the Miami Hurricanes against Texas A&M, but they came through, dude.
They came through. What an effing way to cap off that win. A Malachi Tony touchdown, which, maybe take a knee. Maybe take a knee in front of the end zone. So we didn't have to have our stomachs in our throats, but whatever. It worked out. Congrats to Mario Cristobal. Successful season, successful hire, all that stuff, man. That was awesome yesterday.
I don't know if I would have trusted the kickers. I understand the thought process there, but the kickers were. It was a tough day. It was a tough day out there for kicking field goals.
Hey, Carter Davis, what the hell, man? Why? Why do you choose that game to turn into the FAU version of yourself? Why?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking, but man, it was thrilling too. What a performance by that defense. Congrats to Mario Cristobal, congrats to the Miami Hurricanes, and this is obviously a game coming up here over 20 years in the making against Ohio State. So very much looking forward to this. I cannot wait.
I am jacked up. New Year, Tobin, just think about, yesterday was really the most important Miami Hurricanes game in 20 years.
Yep.
And now you're telling me on New Year's Eve, the Canes can finally revenge that entire loss 20 whatever years later, and then it's New Year's Eve, and then it's New Year's Day. It's set up so perfectly. God, I need that victory in my life. Please.
I was listening to DBJ on the post game after the game yesterday, just rolling around. That's redundant, but I was listening to him in the locker room, and he goes, "Yeah, this is a game 20 years in the making, which, it's not about, but it kind of is. You could just tell he has been jacked up for this Ohio State matchup forever, ever since the championship got ripped away from them."
Yeah. No, for sure. That is still, you're a little older than me, Tobin, but I don't know. I might have been 8 years old, 9 years old. That was one of my first heartbreaks in sports. I loved those Miami Hurricanes teams when I was really young. I vividly remember going to the Orange Bowl as some of my earliest sports memories. The Game 7 Knicks shot to beat the Miami Heat, Allen Houston, and the Fiesta Bowl are like my two earliest heartbreaking sports memories. Those stick with you, bro.
Oh, for sure.
Those stick with you. And man, I hate Ohio State. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Can't wait. Cannot wait. And this game is exactly the stakes of that. Dolphins Bengals, Week 16.
Yep.
The Quinn Ewers era, the Quinn Ewers era is upon us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
It is upon us. Who's not excited for this? The Miami Dolphins have thrown in the towel on the Tua Tagovailoa, run, and Mike McDaniel's like, yeah, all right, let's just throw the rookie out there, see what we got. We'll get into all things quarterback here in the midst through this hour. Chris Perkins is going to join us. Omar Kelly is going to join us. But let's just first talk about what we saw on Monday, Solana, because classic Dolphins primetime in the cold. Like, it was all too familiar to see what happened. Tua throwing ducks that are getting picked off. A defense that just got broken down because the offense couldn't do anything, and put the final nail in the coffin of a very thin margin for error anyway.
Yeah, Tobin, when the score's 28-3, I kind of had to have like a moment of self-reflection and say to myself, I really thought, like I genuinely thought at one point during the pregame show that we did on Monday, and really like over the weekend, I bought in to, hey, maybe something's different right now. And I had to have that moment of self-reflection of like, hey, the Dolphins are going to go into Pittsburgh where they haven't lost a Monday Night Football game since 1991 in that stadium, since 1991, against that organization that is 14-1 on Monday Night Football in general with that head coach. In 14-degree weather with Tua Tagovailoa and snap that streak. Like, what was I thinking, dude? What was I thinking? Why did I let myself? Why? And I had to have that moment with myself. Like, this is the organization that I've loved for years. They're gonna let me down every time in that situation. Why would I have thought otherwise? It was brutal. You're sitting there 28-3, and it's like shades of everything that's gone on during this entire era. Everything that's gone wrong was that game right there. Where like you can't even compete. You don't look like you belong in that game.
It was rough. It was a rough watch. It was rough seeing, everything go wrong, especially Jalen Ramsey getting a sack. You getting carved up by Aaron Rodgers, who does not look like prime Aaron Rodgers, but every time he faces the Dolphins, he looks like prime Aaron Rodgers. And like, we're basically his AFC Bears, apparently. And then you have Jonnu Smith just hitting a touchdown for good measure. It was really, really depressing. I mean, I can't even. Dan, you were on the post game that night were the calls as sick as they have been? Was it acceptance? What was the tone of the fans after that game?
Absolute fury at Tua, especially, and a little bit at Mike McDaniel, but no one defended Tua. I literally went on and said, seriously, if you want your voice heard and you want to defend Tua, call me now, text me now. Zero people defended him.
Yeah, like, what's the defend? It was a complete stinker from him, and and that was it. Like, the final nail was in the coffin with his seemingly Dolphins career. I mean, it doesn't feel like there's a turning point after this, and just the idea of still can't couldn't throw in those elements. And then, unfortunately for the Dolphins, they got to a spot where what's been the thing they can lean on, their run game, just was kind of neutralized at that point. Poor Minkah Fitzpatrick also gets hurt that game. He's a bad calf injury where he's getting ragdolled by DK Metcalf. And it was just rough. It was tough to accept all that. But again, the least surprising thing ever. It was honestly very it's been reminiscent the last 25 years, but it was very reminiscent of the previous year, because you're coming off that win, you're going into Houston, you're kind of rallying yourself, and we're like, hey, Houston's not that good, but you don't even look like you belong with a team that's not that good. And I feel the same way. Like, I don't think Pittsburgh is that good. They didn't have TJ Watt. Their leading rusher was sick in that game. You got a backup running back just running all over you. And Mike Tomlin there was some crazy Monday Night Football stats between the Steelers at home and Mike Tomlin on Monday Night Football that, should have been stupid to go up against anyway. But you don't even look like you belong with the lowest rung of good team, which is exactly where they were last year and really what they have kind of been since the Mike McDaniel era.
And the whole basis of this 4-game win streak, them turning their season around, was what, Tobin? Oh, we kind of re-identified ourselves. We have this new identity on the offensive side of the football. Hey, the Dolphins are a tough football team right now. They don't have to rely on they don't have to rely on the arm of Tua Tagovailoa. We've got Daniel Brunskill as the 6th offensive lineman. What do you know about that? We got Austin Jackson back, and we're gonna ground and pound, and and it's like, okay, go do that against the Steelers, and which that's the identity of that organization forever. And they couldn't, like they couldn't, which is also a bummer because, for Mike McDaniel, he's trying to save his job, and he's trying to show, hey, I can do things in a different way. And well, no, you can do things differently when you're playing the Commanders. You can do things differently when you're playing the Saints, when you're playing the stinking Jets, when you play a team that's quality. And I'm with you. I don't think the Steelers are Super Bowl contenders, but they're still a quality football team. Like they're fine. You couldn't impose your will. You couldn't do any of the things that you're telling us are now true about your football team.
Yeah, it's like they're not even like the Dolphins can go and beat fast food, but they like go to an Outback Steakhouse. They're still they're not even worthy of the wait time. Sorry, they're not. They're just like, nah, you guys don't belong here. No blooming onion for you.
Yeah.
But that's not what they are. They're back alley. They're gas station hot dog. That's the kind of that's where the Dolphins belong. And not a good gas station either. Not like a Wawa or like a racetrack. Like light flickering, one rancid dog on the spin machine. That's what they are. That's what they are. Not even the Miami Shores delicious Chinese food at the mobile station on Miami Ave. Not even that place. They're not even worthy of that.
They're like a 3-day-old roller dog at a 7-Eleven. Is that what you're saying, Tobin?
Handsome David, a Sunoco. That's what they are. Dude.
Oh man, Tobin was pissed watching that game Monday night, ladies and gentlemen. I
it was
tell
tough
you right now.
Well,
Tobin was pissed.
It was a tough night for me, dude. I mean, we were watching it at Twin Peaks. Poor Nico got his arm sliced open by the basket. It was a tough night for me just going through it.
Yeah, the Heat are getting their asses kicked by the Raptors. I think the Panthers won that night though.
The Panthers,
yeah. Which seems to be the only thing happening good positively with our professional sports teams right now. The Heat keep losing, but the Panthers are saving all our asses right now.
Yeah, it was that's what they do. That's what the champs do. So we'll get into every angle of this. We'll get into Tua. We will get into Quinn Ewers. We will get into Mike McDaniel's future. All of this stuff is going to be bantied about because, listen, the games are the games, but they don't have any consequence. Not that they don't matter. They just have no consequence. You got Sergio Burrow in town today. So we got that as well. Omar Kelly's going to stop by in the final hour of the program. Chris Perkins will stop by next hour. We'll dive into all areas of this as Gameday Uncensored is brought to you by Ed Morse Sawgrass Automall. Shop massive savings on massive Chevy inventory, all backed by Morse at Ed Morse Sawgrass Chevrolet. Visit edmorsesawgrasschevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads. We will take a break here on WQAM. More Gameday Uncensored after this.
WQAM. Now, let's get back to Game Day Uncensored. The pregame show for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM. Miami Dolphins getting set to take on the Cincinnati Bengals from Hard Rock Stadium. Throwbacks are back today, everybody. You got your throwback jerseys tonight or this afternoon. Good. Yeah, the perfect time. Perfect exactly with everything on the line. Just have the sweetest uniforms in all of sports for this team that's not going to make the playoffs. Perfect timing.
Thank you, Stephen Ross. We really appreciate that. Thanks for coming in hot at the end of the season after you bench your starting quarterback that you gave $2 billion to. We really appreciate you pulling out the nicest uniforms that should be permanent,
right?
For a meaningless game. Genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you for making us well-dressed losers. We really appreciate that, dude.
At least we're a well-dressed 3-day-old roller dog at 7-Eleven.
Thank you. Okay, so obviously the big news today, this week, was that Tua Tagovailoa was benched. We had a press conference on Tuesday from Mike McDaniel where he was, basically hinted that he was going to do it. It basically, implied that he was going to do it, but he's like, but officially tomorrow, we're going to officially do this tomorrow. So it's almost like he wanted to delay in 2 press conferences to bench Tua. And, he basically was just like, it wasn't good enough. He hasn't been good enough, and that they need to look at it to give themselves a better chance to win. Solana, were you surprised that they finally got to this decision? Think about where you were on Tuesday when the news kind of came out.
Yeah, no, I was very surprised. But here's the thing, Tobin. They mangled the entire thing. Like, Monday after the game, he's asked about it. And he doesn't sound like he wants to bench Tua. And then Tuesday rolls around and he does his press conference. It's right around the time our show started, right after you got off the air, 2-something. And now all of a sudden he sounds like he's going to bench Tua. And then Wednesday comes around and then he's like, yeah, we're benching Tua. And I just don't understand why they have to mangle these types of things. Like, I understand you don't want to have this bold reaction coming off a game, but don't take hard stances on anything. If you're Mike McDaniel, if you know that's a possibility, because then you just sound dumb. And that seems to be the trend here, where like this organization continues to put themselves in a situation where they just look dumb and they look stupid for decisions and choices that they're making. Tua Tagovailoa, you could argue, probably should have been benched a while ago. And I'm not surprised that the season's over and they were going to decide to shut him down. But man, the entire decision making with this seems dumb to me, to not shut him down, but to actively come out and bench him. I can't wrap my head around why that makes any sense, Tobin.
I think that this is what I think, dude. I've been talking about this all week on the radio. I really think that the organization and Mike was bothered by the way that he reacted to that loss. I think the idea that your season is over and this guy's yucking it up with Jalen Ramsey, and like, dude, you just had an all-time wet fart of a game with our season on the line, and you're sitting there, you're laughing with your former teammate for a long time too. Like, that's the thing. It's not like it was a pleasant goodbye and that's it. I've seen other people, well, what did you think about, Savaiinaya talking to Cam Hayward? It's like, he talked to him for 2 seconds. He asked him for advice. He wasn't sitting there guffawing with the good times of Jalen Ramsey, probably making fun of Mike McDaniel, the both of them, by the way. And it's just like sitting there. There's like a whole video of it that you can see him behind on the television while the post game's going on. It's like, you gotta have, it's been the entire theme of his year. Terrible play, and then also just a terrible understanding of time and place.
Yep.
And I just think that the coach was done with him. I think that's it. I think if Tua would have taken that on the chin and would have been like actually upset, maybe he is still starting today, and maybe that's not the right choice. But I don't think that the coach just throws his hands up and just be like, I can't do anything with this guy anymore. He throws his teammates under the bus. He throws us under the bus. He is playing terribly, and he doesn't look like he gives a rat's ass. And so I think that all of it was encompassing as to why he finally got to that decision with the last 3 games. I've seen other theories. I think people who have said, hey, just protect him. Don't have him get hurt. Yeah, there may be something to that. But I think from the standpoint of why the coach, who this relationship with his quarterback is synonymous with his success and his rise of everybody believing in him, has now been like, I can't do it anymore with this quarterback. I just can't.
But so you think this is strictly a Mike McDaniel decision? You don't believe that this comes from Stephen Ross? You don't believe that it's a joint effort? Stephen Ross, McDaniel kind of just talk amongst one another and say, this can't be the future anymore. Like, it's time to move on. Because I struggle to think that Mike McDaniel, after that game, is just going to come out and go talk to Stephen Ross and say, yeah, now it's time to bench Tua. He would have said, well, why wasn't it time to bench Tua 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago when we were 2-6? So I do think, and look, I'm not telling you I have any inside info into this, Tobin. But I strongly believe, and there's some reports today from Adam Schefter that the Dolphins are willing to cut ties with Tua, even if it means having to pay him a boatload of money. I think all that stuff is coming from Stephen Ross, like somebody close to Stephen Ross. I think Stephen Ross was done with Tua, and I am 100 1,000,000% with you. I'm never the guy to look at players on the sideline or on the bench, see them laughing, clip it, and rip them for it. Because to me, that's such an easy thing to do, But in this instance, Tua has to have a better awareness of the entire situation, of the context of, hey, it's year 4. You stink. You're the highest paid player on the organization. You're the face of the organization. It's year 25 of this fan base being tortured without a playoff victory. And your playoff chances are ending now when you were down 28-3 on prime time because you still can't win a game in the cold. You have to have better awareness. You have to of, hey, let me sit here, sulk a little bit, look like I'm pissed off because everybody else is, and just walk off the sideline and call Jalen Ramsey later, who, by the way, called you a bitch on national TV.
Pretty much.
And maybe you didn't know that, but everybody else did. Now you look like a bitch on national TV.
Didn't he call him weak AF?
Yeah, whatever. He called him a bitch.
Just want to be, for the record, let's just have facts be the facts.
You're right. He called him weak AF, which might be worse. I just have some awareness, bro. And again, I am not this guy because people do this a lot in the NBA where a team's getting blown out and players are laughing on the bench, and it's like, who cares, dude? Like, it's one game. But this situation specifically, bro, you've got to have better awareness, man. You have to realize the situation, bro. You have to.
Yeah, theme of the year. No awareness on the field, no awareness off the field. It's been the theme of the year, dude.
Crazy.
Well, let's hear from Tua. This was him when he got the news this week. He was asked about if the injuries were a factor for him, and then went in a little bit to a bit on his long-term future. Here was Tua Tagovailoa on that.
Tua, are you upset about being number 3 instead of number 2 on the depth chart, or does it not matter to you if you're not starting?
As I said, I'm here, and my role right now, if I'm not starting, is to help the starter help us win games.
Tua, has your hip or any injuries impacted you in your play this year?
No, sir.
Do you feel like this could impact your future as the organization's starting quarterback?
I think that's out of my control. I control what I can control, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, that seems very much like he's looking forward to a long future down here in South Florida. He's
pissed. He's pissed, bro.
I think, yeah, I'm sure. Well, there's definitely been that bromance between him and Mike, which is why I don't disagree with you that Stephen Ross had a hand in some of it. Like, I'm sure he's like, hey, you got the okay from me if you think that I'm not okay with you benching Tua, I'm been more than ready. I'm sure he got that from Stephen Ross, but I do think this ultimately was a McDaniel call, maybe with a side of Stephen Ross blessing. But I think we heard all year, Solana. We were like, man, kind of feels like they're taking shots at each other. Remember the game where Mike was like, I plan on us not throwing 10 interceptions.
Right.
Like, I was like, damn, whoa, all right. Like it just felt like it was going to Frostyville with the two of them. And so,
yeah.
I mean, Tua did say, he said, I'm not happy. That came out of his mouth on this decision. This was him asked one more time if he was on if this is his last game with the Miami Dolphins.
I'm not too sure. I can't predict the future. I can't, predict any of that. So it is what it is. And as I said, got to help out Q, got to help out Zach, whoever the starter is or is going to be. Do what I can to help them in that role and helping the team win games.
And start looking for houses in Arizona. And get ready to replace Kyler Murray. That's what I need to get ready for.
Crazy,
one more piece of sound. So this obviously got a lot of opinions all over the place, but former Dolphins quarterback, the man that Tua did this to, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, I'm pretty sure was, it was like the Grinch's heart. Like it grew 3 sizes when he got this news. But this was him on the Thursday Night Football set where he was asked about Tua getting benched, and he thinks, it's done. There's no coming back from this.
All right, Fitz, you just heard what Ian had to say. What does the future look like, in your opinion, for Tua?
Well, with these things, I'm always curious on who makes that decision. Is this a Stephen Ross decision? Is this coming from the very top, or is this a Mike McDaniel decision? And you heard him say there, Mike McDaniel thinks Quinn Ewers gives him the best chance to win. That's just an indictment on Tua to say, you are no longer the best quarterback on our roster. We don't believe in you. You can't come back from this. And time in Miami is over. It's done. Now, the problem is, what are we going to do with that contract? Are we going to try to trade him? And like Brock Osweiler got traded with a second-round pick, like maybe something like that could happen. But there's huge financial implications here. Tua's time in Miami is done.
Huge is the opposite word. So much money.
You agree with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Solano? You think there's any coming back from this?
No, I do not. I don't see how. And I told you very clearly when they fired Chris Grier, hey, I want a clean slate. Just give me a clean slate, even if it means I'm willing to accept next year just kind of be like a reset year. Genuinely. Just take one step backwards next season to hopefully catapult yourself 10 steps forward. Give me a completely new slate. Let's go find a smart football person to hire a new head coach and to go draft a quarterback for me. And it doesn't mean that you got to get Fernando Mendoza and trade 10 first-round picks to move up. Like, just start drafting well and start analyzing guys and look for somebody you think's a quality quarterback. But I'm done. I'm done with this entire regime. All it's got is a stench of losers on it. Oh, that's it. It's just a disgusting stench of constant falling short. And I'm done with it. I don't think there's a chance Tua's back next year.
A guy in the chat, Reggie, says Waddle was laughing. Sealer was laughing. No, dude. Like, Sealer was laughing at Aaron Rodgers talking bleep to him for a second in a fleeting moment. This dude was on the after the game was having the chuckle fest with Jalen Ramsey for a good amount of time. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And again, he's the quarterback. I don't know if you don't know that that's the same. I can't help you.
Not only that, Tobin, he's on the sideline during the game. They're down 28-3 in the fourth quarter, and they're showing Tua on the sideline laughing.
I know.
And again, I swear I'm like, I don't love that type of stuff. But here, this situation, you have to, as a Dolphins fan, sit there. You're watching. You're getting your asses beat with your season on the line. I thought the season was over anyways, with 1% chance of making the playoffs. But still, your season's on the line. You got to keep winning. And your quarterback, he's laughing on the sideline. He has like 108 yards. I mean, come on, bro.
He's yucking up with his friend, but his friend who also had a huge beef with the coach on the way out too. Like, I don't know if that doesn't smack everybody in the face with then I don't know. I guess we're just on different wavelengths with that. So Quinn Ewers is going to get his chance. We will get into that. What do we expect from him today? And is this an audition? Not everybody seems to think so. We'll get into that on the other side on Game Day Uncensored.
Let's go. Turn me up. We can
The pregame show for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here. Brought to you by the Lexus December to Remember sales event. Get offers on select models for a limited time. As Quinn Ewers has been named your Miami Dolphins starting quarterback as he will make his debut. The Dolphins rookie QB drafted this year out of Texas and had some good offers, including the Miami Hurricanes, to be their quarterback this year. He decides to go pro. That'll happen when you got a giant card deal, help you get into, land on your feet all right in the NFL. But Quinn Ewers will get his first start today. So I'll start here with the Quinn Ewers news. Were you surprised it was him? I really thought when we first got that first press conference on Tuesday, I almost feel like putting him out there was a tough spot because he is a rookie. And you're basically like, hey, here's your look, kid. And so part of me thought because they made such a big deal, Mike McDaniel made such a big deal about Zach Wilson, that we were heading towards a few starts of Zach Wilson, see if he's the reclamation project. Maybe he could take the reins next year. But apparently Zach Wilson just continues to suck. So we're not going that direction, even though he's confused. He says, I'm very confused. It's like, I don't think you should be. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe it's you then, Zach. I don't know what to tell you. But any quibble with Quinn Ewers being the choice?
Yeah, I don't know if I was surprised. I think this is the right decision. But I guess I was a little surprised because if they think he's good enough to start the last 3 games over Zach Wilson, then why wasn't he the backup quarterback? I don't know. I have some questions about just the entire thought process there. But this is the right decision, Tobin. I don't think anybody should feel differently in my mind. We've seen Zach Wilson, like reclamation project. I don't know. I don't think he's got that vibe to him. And clearly, I don't think anybody in that building thinks he does either. I want to see the young kid. I think he had a ton of talent. And I know injuries kind of set him back last year at Texas. I want to see the kid. You drafted him, so you wasted or used a draft pick on him. Let's give him a chance.
Well, we'll see what he's able to do with this one. This is.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised that they went
a little bit? Not like, I guess when it happened, it made sense in the explanation of it. But like I said, I was a little surprised just because I'm a little worried about a rookie having to just go in here with a team that's, not got the greatest receiving core right now. He's got a good run game to lean on. The line that had been, getting plenty of flowers, they had a tough week last week. They did not look grand. Now Tua was running backwards very, very far. So I don't think that he had the best tone of it either. But I definitely don't think they had their best week last week either. So yeah, I'm a little worried. Now he's going against the Bengals. Their defense sucks. That's probably a good soft landing spot for him to get going. But yeah, I was a little surprised, and I guess I just put too much stock into what Mike was talking about because he was like so effusive in his praise of Zach Wilson and why they went out and got him and they targeted him for this. And like you said, he did get when Quinn Ewers had his chance against, was it Cleveland that he got in against?
Yeah.
When we all thought that, he moved past him on the depth chart. And I guess that seemed to signal more of a either reward for him or a message to Zach Wilson. But Zach Wilson got the backup job again after that, after, Quinn Ewers looked nowhere near ready to play quarterback. I mean, for the most part, he had that one ballsy throw, but he really looked nowhere close ready to play quarterback. It was it was a couple months ago, so I'm not saying that's what we're going to see today, but a little bit. Like, that's just, I think there could have been an answer for, maybe Zach Wilson will show something and he could be our stopgap next year. I mean, he's Zach Wilson. He sucks. I don't think that we should have believed it, but that there was part of my thinking process into that as to before they made the announcement. But now that we're here, I'm good with it. I'm not like against it. I'm cool with them starting Quinn Ewers if that's who they truly think is better out of the two of those guys. But I don't necessarily, when Mike first had his press conference, my first lean was, he's not going to go with the rookie who's been his third stringer all year, but here we are.
Yeah, but they messed up that entire thing going into Cleveland also. Do you remember how that played out, which was all week There was no talk about the backup quarterback. And then all of a sudden, Quinn Ewers is not the emergency third quarterback. He's the backup. And then it's Zach Wilson. And then we find out that Quinn Ewers didn't know he'd be the backup quarterback that week until like Mike McDaniel ran into him in the elevator at the hotel the night before in Cleveland. So like that entire situation was weird because why wouldn't he have been taking snaps like a backup if he was going to be the backup? And this entire situation, to me, what bothers me is Mike McDaniel coming out and saying, Quinn Ewers gives us the best chance to win.
Yeah.
And nobody's buying that. If he gives you the best chance to win this week, then why didn't he give you the best chance to win last week? And why didn't he give you the best chance to win 3 weeks ago? Nobody's buying that. And why are they lying, Tobin? That's what I can't wrap my head around. Why are they lying? Why is Mike McDaniel getting up in front of
football lies? That's why. If you're asking what, because football is full of liars.
Football is full of liars. But in this situation, you don't need to lie. You don't need to lie. Hey, our starting quarterback has a serious past with injuries. We're going to shut him down. The season's over. And we've got a rookie at the end of the bench that we selected in the 7th round. We think he's talented. We think he's got a hell of an arm. And we want to give him 3 games here at the end of the season to show us what he's got. Literally, then Zach Wilson could sit there and say, yeah, that makes sense. Like, they have a rookie. They want to see him. All of us could say, hey, we've got a rookie. Let's see what's going on. Tua doesn't have to get in front of the microphone and mope and talk about his future because we all just think he's being shut down. And then they can do whatever the hell they want to do behind the scenes. Lie to us that way. But what? Like, why? Why?
You're still going to go to Tua, even if you were to go under the guise of we're shutting him down. Like, Tua's been pretty vocal, at least last year, about how much he's bucking against the injuries and doesn't want to be the face of concussions. Like, that's not going to go well for them either. If you basically say, hey, he's damaged goods, I don't think you can do that. You have to put it under a performance element. No, I understand they are, but I'm just saying, like, I just don't think. I think you honestly could just say, hey, Tua's quarterback play hasn't been good enough, which he kind of also said. Like, he said, I'm looking for convicted quarterback play. I think that Tua, we can all say, hasn't been a guy playing with a confidence or a decisiveness, the correct decisiveness at that position. So he also did put it at, like, this idea of, I can't keep hoping he's going to figure it out, which he can't. He can't do that. He can't sit here and hope there's going to be this moment where Tua just turns it around. And we knew we were heading here because, you know, it was basically a running football team anyway with as little Tua need in the game as possible. So I don't know. It was I get it and I don't from him. I get him having to dress it up how he is, but I also we all know what the truth is when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, Jalen Waddle, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say we all thought McDaniel and Tua were kind of tied at the hip, and we watched it play out publicly. I think of them not being tied.
Oh yeah, the hip. No, that for sure we saw.
Yeah,
that we definitely saw. We could see the rifts growing throughout the year. That was very, very clear. Yeah. And whether that be from the public sentiment or them being upset with each other, there was definitely a lot of finger pointing and subtle jabs in the media between these guys, and it was not the bromance that it was early on. And look, when we talk about Mike McDaniel and his job security, like, that's going to play a part in it, about how much can we trust you when you were like the guy backing this guy and the reason that he's here. Are we really going to give him the keys the rest of the way? Jalen Waddle, this is what he had to say with getting a new quarterback and taking on the Cincinnati Bengals and getting Quinn Ewers under center.
Yeah, confidence. Young, confident, strong arm, processing everything really good. I think that Tua's helping him a lot. Bev is definitely in his ear, and they're getting him prepared.
All right, probably excited to get more than two throws to him this upcoming week. And Devon Achane, who of course has been the star of the Dolphins this year, their MVP. He said that they don't see Quinn Ewers as a rookie.
Just him being confident in himself. Like I said, we know he's a rookie, but when he out there, he acts just if he was, a vet, and that's how you want, your rookie to act. So him being out there is not like, oh, we looking at him as a rookie. We looking at him as our QB1, as which he is. So, and you can just tell, like, the confidence he have out there, like, any other rookie probably be nervous, especially when you playing the QB spot. But, he don't show none of that.
All right. Now, the interesting thing I heard this week, Solana, this was from, I don't have the sound of it, but Teron Armstead made this point this week. He doesn't see this, and he's the only person, I got to be honest with you, he's the only person who I've heard have this opinion, that he doesn't think Tua is done as quarterback. He thinks he's going to start at quarterback in 2026, which,
yeah.
Hey, I'm all for everybody, in the world of everybody having takes, someone's got to have the other side of it. Armstead doesn't think Tua's done with the Dolphins. He thinks that what this is not an audition to be the starting quarterback. He basically thinks this is an audition for Quinn Ewers to be an active quarterback next year, to basically be the backup in case something happens to Tua next year, because we know what his injuries are. And Armstead was making the point that this is basically Quinn Ewers' chance to show the Dolphins, I'm good enough to be on your roster. Do you buy that at all? Like, I don't necessarily know that this is going to win him a starting job. But do you buy that? Like, the idea that Tua's gonna, I don't know many people, or if any people other than Teron Armstead, who think Tua is for sure going to be the starter next year.
We were laughing about this on the show because as Teron Armstead tweets that out, there's like a conflicting report seconds later from Pelissero who's saying, yeah, the Dolphins are planning to move on from Tua. And there is some conflicting reports, by the way, from Ian Rappaport and from Adam Schefter on how the Dolphins are going to try to handle Tua now. I think Adam Schefter was saying, like, hey, the Dolphins are done with Tua. Like, they're done. And Ian Rappaport was saying, maybe not. Like, maybe he'll be on the roster next year. He's just not going to start. I love Teron Armstead. I think his podcast is great. He has an emotional tie to these dudes. You know, like, so I think he loves Tua. And why wouldn't he? Everybody knows Tua's a nice guy off the field. So I think he's coming from a place of, hey, I really want it to work out for all these guys. I know they're all good dudes, and I want it to work out for all these guys. And he's not seeing it how we're seeing it, which is like, bro, what do you always say, Tobin? Rats off a ship? Like, damage is done? Damage is done, my friend. It's
appropriate.
It's
Mm-hmm.
done. I think for the most part, the fan base is done. And that loss in Pittsburgh, it just summed up everything about the last 4 years of this football team with that quarterback. You're just not good enough to beat quality teams. You're just not. And why continue that for another year? If you're Stephen Ross, do you not want a winner? If you're Stephen Ross, do you not want one last chance to rebuild this thing and try to actually go compete? Why put it off for a year? Like, pay the dude his money and move on. Let's get on with our lives.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with it. And it's like, it's tough to be in a situation where there's so much emotion tied to the player as well, because of how people treat quarterbacks, and because it is, one of the things that everybody will talk about in their sports dialect is like, this guy's just not good enough. The quarterback's not good enough, and that's just what it is. Sometimes, look, there's other factors in a football team or a season going awry. And I'm not even saying the season was all on Tua, because the defense started off, they weren't good enough. The line started off, they weren't good enough. They needed some development. The coach was not good enough. This roster build was shaky at best. So there's other factors in why the Dolphins started off the way they are. It wasn't all on Tua, but Tua also did have his worst season. And played his worst, and probably had his worst handling of things publicly this year. So all of those things have compiled. The problem is, you're legitimately the face of the franchise. And if the face of the franchise is sitting here and you're going nowhere and it's getting worse, how do you move on in another direction? Now, one area could be, hey, this was a really bad year for him. He played the position a little skittish. He was maybe the decision by the organization was, hey, you better play safe this year. And he maybe just took that in too much of an extreme area. Leroy's had the theory that he didn't press it enough in the offseason physically. Maybe he goes in the other direction because we've seen Tua have good off seasons physically and get himself into good shape. Maybe he could have a revenge season, and that would be the best way going forward. But I think it's hard to not have the emotion in all of this. And I don't know that they made the decision on the coach either. And I think that if you really wanted to go make a GM hire or a coach hire, you're not going to anchor them to a quarterback. You're just not. You're gonna allow them the freedom to have a clean slate. I think that's only the fair thing to do. So
right, but the counter argument to that, because of the cap ramifications, are that you're not anchoring them to a quarterback, but you're anchoring them to a deficit, like literally operating at a deficit.
Sure,
based on how much you're gonna have to pay him and the dead cap hit that you're gonna take. So like, pick your poison in that aspect.
Yeah, sure, but I think anybody would rather. I think anybody would rather be like, hey, you're gonna have some tough financial years here, but you're not linked to anybody,
right?
To find you're not being given any which way to not find a solution. We're not handcuffing you with somebody who you didn't pick, who you didn't extend. They're not gonna do basically what they did with Mike McDaniel, which is, hey, make this work. That's your job. Make this work. Which, to his credit, for a couple of years he did. Now they give him Tyreek Hill and they gave him, high-paced price players, but now it's hey, it'll be rough, but maybe you find a solution. Maybe there's a veteran who shakes loose. Maybe there's a quarterback you really like drafted. Maybe there's a Bo Nix out there. Maybe there's a Sam Darnold out there. Maybe there's a solution like that to whoever comes in. So we will get into Mike McDaniel's future. And I think there's something here, Solana. I would like to do a simple problem solving method. Little thing I like to call pros and cons.
All right.
Pros and cons. What are the pros? What are the cons? Simple problem solving when it comes to Mike McDaniel and his future with the Dolphins. Chris Perkins is going to join us next hour as well. We're back with more on Gameday Uncensored after this.
Every Miami
Lauderdale and WQAM AM Miami, an Odyssey sports station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
The Dolphins square off against the Bengals today at Hard Rock Stadium, and Tua will not be playing. He has been benched. Quinn Ewers is going to get the start as the Dolphins' lost season continues. Mike McDaniel, also the subject of a major change on the decision to bench Tua.
This 2025 team needed me to make the decision solely for what gives us the best chance to win. That includes all players. I understand the pros and cons of all the different formats of the way I play this out, but I need convicted quarterback play. This team needs convicted quarterback play. I thought Quinn gave us the best chance to do that.
Quinn Ewers with his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to, have the opportunity to play in the NFL, and for that to be coming is just truly a blessing, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. Was happy.
There will be plenty of talk this offseason about what the Dolphins need to do. We're on it. But today, the Dolphins have a game against the Bengals at Hard Rock Stadium. Time to break down what we're going to see. This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana, Omar Kelly, and Chris Perkins on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
Game Day Uncensored on FM 104.3 WQAM is brought to you by the Lexus TX. Room for all your passions in 3 rows of luxurious comfort. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. By Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Catch massive savings on over 22 acres of new Buick and GMCs at Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Get backed by Morse and visit EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com. And by JM Lexus. JM Lexus has the best team in the business. A 4.8 Google rating with over 22,000 reviews and counting. JM Lexus, West Sample Road, Margate.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM. Brendan Tobin alongside Alejandro Solana. Dan Day running things for us here today. Dan, is there post game today? When is our Game Day Uncensored post game edition?
1 hour, right when the game ends till about 5 o'clock. We'll lead into preheat with Alejandro Solana.
All righty, there you go. The Miami Heat taking on the New York Knicks to wrap up their road trip today, even if Khalil Ware scores 40s, but we'll be mad at him.
Don't bait me, Tobin. Don't bait me.
It's
Don't
fall
bait
guy
me.
for everything.
Yeah.
Guy goes 6 for 7 from three. Suppose not too many threes, though. Not too many. Not too many threes. What? What are you talking about, dude? Sitting here, just like, can you be bad at anybody else? Never mind. You know what? You're right.
Kaz was fun, Tobin. Why don't you look at that? Kaz was fun.
He was fun.
He was fun.
He was fun. He was fun. Speaking of coaches, a much more accomplished coach in Eric Spoelstra than this guy, Mike McDaniel, who, like you said, it was just it's been reported this morning by Tom Pelissero. Decision on 2026 not yet decided for Mike McDaniel. How much do these 3 games matter to you? They still have a chance to have a winning record. Let me ask you to start off here, Solana. Does a winning record this season for Mike McDaniel mean anything? 3 out of 4 years would be winning. No playoffs back-to-back years, but if he finishes 9-8 after starting 1-6, does that say anything to you?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. I don't know if it will ultimately with Stephen Ross. I get this feeling based on, hey, they didn't let him go when they were 1-6. They didn't let him go after the Thursday Night Football debacle when they fired Chris Greer. And when I'm saying they, I obviously mean Stephen Ross. And Ross still hasn't fired him yet. So I don't know. I feel very strongly, and we've talked about this several times, Tobin, that Stephen Ross ultimately would like to keep Mike McDaniel. I think they do have some sort of, I don't want to call it a bond, but a respect for one another. But it shouldn't, because ultimately this is a failed season. I wanted to just go back to one thing that you had said last segment, which was there are other reasons that the Dolphins have gotten to this point. It's not all on Tua Tagovailoa. You're 100% correct, Tobin. Like, this season isn't a failed season only because you didn't get the proper quarterback play. Like, there's a lot of other things that went wrong this year. Typically, though, an elite quarterback, the highest paid player on your team, elevates a situation like that. He can get the most out of other teammates when you lose a Tyreek Hill, and he can elevate people around him. He failed to do that, but don't get it twisted. This is not a well-coached football team either. This is not a well-oiled machine that's running and competing in spite of one player who happens to be the quarterback. Like, there's a lot of ways that Mike McDaniel has failed. And in my opinion, 3 games with a rookie quarterback, whether or not best case scenario, they go 3-0 and Quinn Ewers lights it up, which I don't think anybody actually expects to happen, doesn't negate 4 years where you couldn't win a playoff game.
Right.
With probably the most talented teams that the Dolphins have had, top heavy, sure, in the 21st century. So, like, it doesn't negate it for me, and it shouldn't for Stephen Ross either.
Dende, does 3 games for Mike McDaniel, does it matter to you? If he finishes with a winning record, does that say anything to you for his future?
100%. I believe it because, number one, winning is an attitude. And a lot of teams will tell you, well, it started last year at the end of the season, and we carried it into this year. And it shows that Mike McDaniel, if he has a third-string quarterback, is coaching pretty darn good to get this team to win, and maybe they found something. So I really do believe it's not separate from anything else. I believe it's a cumulative thing, and Mike McDaniel wins or wins. So I do believe that these games are important to win. Will they? I don't know about that. But if he can show that he can win with this quarterback and maybe change the attitude of this team, it can lead into next year.
Boys, I wanted to do a simple it's an exercise that organizations should do when making a decision, all right? You get the whiteboard out or the chalkboard out or whatever. I don't know if anybody has chalkboards anymore. But you get the board out. You do a simple pros and cons list from Mike McDaniel. So, Solana, do you have give me a pro. What would be the positive in keeping Mike McDaniel?
A pro for Mike McDaniel is that his offense is creative.
Okay.
Right? Would anybody disagree with that? His offense is creative. When things are going right, his offense is fun as hell to watch, and he's clearly a very creative play designer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Would anybody disagree with that?
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree. He is creative.
Yes.
Con, sometimes too creative. Doesn't seem to know when to just go with the bread and butter when it's working.
Very true. Very
true.
true.
So we could say he's too creative.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So creative as a pro, but also creative to a fault.
Creative is a pro, but sometimes too creative.
Creative to a fault as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
I have another con. If we can go with the con tier. Doesn't know how to challenge a play. He really sucks at challenging. Just sucks.
Bad at challenging. I think that's fair. I will say pro. Maybe not a better candidate out there to hire. The devil you know better than the devil you don't. So could hire somebody worse. That's not
all right.
That's my list so far.
Okay.
Dan, do you have any pros? Do you have a pro for Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, I kind of have the pro and the con, two sides of it. The pro is he is growing as a coach. He is learning. He is adjusting. He has gotten this team to a different place than when he first started. But the con is I don't think he's growing as fast as we'd like him to. So it's kind of on both sides.
I like it. Not growing fast enough. A slow flower bloom, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I have a con that's just personal for me.
Mm-hmm.
Long-winded. I'm sick of cutting his press conferences.
If
we could just get a more concise coach, long-winded is on the con list just personally for me. I just wanted that out there. But I will counter that with, as a pro, he dresses well.
He does dress well. Got the off-whites.
Yep.
I am a little sick of the like the chino pants that are leggings that are like pretty much he's riding them up above the calf. Like just wear pants, McDaniel, or shorts. Choose one. I'm a little sick of that, but I'm just nitpicking there because the team isn't going to win a playoff game for 26 out of 31 years of my life. So I'm nitpicking at his pants.
Understood. Understood. Do you have any pros or cons that should be on his list?
Yeah, pros is that he seems to really connect with players. I
Cares
think
about his players.
Cares about his players, and his players seem to like him, other than Jalen Ramsey.
Well, I was going to
But
go.
The con to that is he's not a disciplinarian. He doesn't command the type of, I'm not respect, but kind of, just discipline that some players do need.
Agreed.
Yeah. You hear Rex Ryan, right? Wasn't that like the biggest thing? He called him nerd boy, and he said that nobody respects him. But I would counter that with, would have been very easy. 1-6, 2-7 for this team to quit on him. And they clearly didn't. Say what you want about who they beat, but he beat the Bills, and they didn't quit on him. So I don't know. Like, do you need a disciplinarian in the NFL these days? I don't know. Maybe players respond better to his type of attitude.
I think also, and I don't know what you would put this under. I think it would be a con, is just his teams are too streaky. Like, I feel like McDaniel seasons are always riding these waves of super high, but then like the lows go on way too long as well. Or sometimes now the last 2 years has been opposite. They've started off really, really slow, then they've kind of had a project up, and then like it's kind of been flat maybe to end. But I mean, the streakiness and lack of consistency. I'm putting cons, streakiness. I don't like that. Also long-winded. Just that's
long-winded. Yeah, throw that in there again. Yeah, throw 100%. Yeah, throw that in there again.
Is on my list again. Yeah. Pro, he trolled the Bills. That was funny.
Oh,
he is objectively a funny guy.
He's got jokes for sure. Yeah, he's got jokes 100%. And they're smart jokes. He's smart. Like he is smart. Yeah,
smart guy, but also too smart maybe.
Right. Yeah, put that on the cons too. Yeah,
too smart.
Smart to a fault.
Yep. I think we got a good list here.
Okay.
I think we got a good list here. The pros, he's offensive, is creative.
Yeah.
We could hire somebody worse. He's growing. Dresses well.
And when we say growing, we mean as a coach or
as a coach? Yeah,
not stature. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Well, then put that on the cons. He's
short.
Yeah. Well, not that he's short. He's just not growing in stature.
All right. Not physically growing. That's on the list. Dresses well. Cares about his players.
Yeah.
And he's funny and pretty smart.
Okay.
Our cons. Too creative. Really bad at challenging plays.
Yes.
He's not growing as a coach fast enough.
Correct.
He's also not physically growing.
Which is just accurate.
He's long-winded. Not a disciplinarian. Streakiness.
Yeah.
Annoying. He's long-winded.
Correct. Yeah, that needs to be there twice. I would actually add it in there one more time, Tobin. Okay. 3 times. Yeah.
He's too smart. And also, he's not a good friend because he's rats off a ship on Tua. We should probably put that. And also, he's long-winded.
Yeah.
That's 100%. Our list. I think this leans towards me not wanting him back, to be honest with you.
Well, you should package that up and ship it to Stephen Ross. And just, hey, here's what we did. Here's how we contributed to this decision, Stephen Ross.
A couple of arbiters out here. Just, we're just spitballing some things here. Stephen Ross on the radio right before you get ready for this game. A man who's a man of principle and probably love. We'll ask Perk if he has a pro and a con for Mike McDaniel. If he had, we'll give him our list and we'll see if he has anything else to add to our list. Chris Perkins, Miami Dolphins columnist from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He joins us next.
WQAM broadcasting live
Game show for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM.
And welcome back, guys. It's Game Day Uncensored here. Tobin and Solana here with you as we get you ready for this Week 16 matchup from Hard Rock Stadium, rocking the throwbacks. The Miami Dolphins taking on the Cincinnati Bengals here today. And it's brought to you by Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall. Shop massive savings on massive Chevy inventory, all backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Visit EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads. Let's talk to our guy, Chris Perkins, Miami Dolphins columnist from the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, joining us there. Perk, how you doing this morning?
Oh, it is a beautiful South Florida winter day, man. It's like in the 70s. The sun is out. I'm loving it, man. Dolphins are out of playoff contention, but we'll leave that part out.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful day.
Small detail.
That's right. That's right.
Wild week there this week, Perk. I guess, how surprised were you that they came to the Tua conclusion? Do you think it's best that they're doing this, that they're giving Quinn Ewers this little run here to end the season?
Ooh, boy, where to start on this one? I will say that, I thought that Zach Wilson was going to be the guy who would get the job. As it's been explained to me, it kind of makes sense that Zach was the backup quarterback because they figured if they needed somebody to come in mid-game in the second or third quarter or something like that, he's better qualified. But if you wanted somebody to play a stretch of games, 2 or 3 games, then you give Quinn Ewers the opportunity. You give him the entire week to prepare, and you see what the rookie has got. So I think that that's kind of where we're at right now, is that they need somebody to start a stretch of games. They're going to see what Quinn Ewers has. I think in the process of that, you're admitting 2 quarterback mistakes, right? With Tua putting so much on his plate this season, knowing that he didn't have Tyreek. You started off the season, thinking that you could do that passing game. It didn't work. You had to go to the run game. So you kind of misjudged Tua's talents there. And then you misjudged Zach Wilson, because if he was truly, the guy that you thought could be the next first round reclamation project in the manner of, Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, he would be the guy starting. So to me, you did that. And then, I'll tell you this also. I don't really trust Mike McDaniel's quarterback development skills. I mean, did he really fix Tua, or did he tell Tua to throw it to Tyreek? Because the Tua that I see now without Tyreek, he's really not doing anything. He hasn't developed a backup, right, whether it's Skylar Thompson or Teddy Bridgewater or Snoop Huntley. So it's going to be interesting to see how this figures on a lot of levels. But, the bottom line here is, yes, I am a little bit surprised that they're starting Quinn Ewers, but I think it does make sense, their approach and their thinking.
Add that to the cons list, Tobin.
Perk, you just added to our cons list. Thank you for that. It doesn't.
You got a pros and cons list, huh? Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
You want to hear it? You want a pros and cons list real quick?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll give you the pros first. Offensively creative. The Dolphins could hire someone worse. He's growing as a coach, dresses well, kind of funny and smart, and he cares about his players.
Yes.
Our cons list, maybe he's too creative. He's really bad at the challenge.
Yep.
Maybe not growing as a coach fast enough that they need. He's long-winded. Not a disciplinarian. Too much streakiness with the teams. Yep. He might be too smart. We've now added to yours. Doesn't develop quarterbacks that well. And also, he's long-winded. That's our list so far.
That's it. That's good. That's good. You know what? Actually, my biggest problem with Mike McDaniel is his offense, and it's the strategy and philosophy of his offense. I thought that if he would have incorporated, and I might have told you guys this, if he would have incorporated elements of the dink and dunk that they used last year to finish 6-3, and elements of the run game, which they used this year to win 5 out of 6, his offense would have been better. You can't just do Tua to Tyreek. Good teams get under that very quickly, and they shut it down. We saw that in the 2023 and 2024 seasons, where this team went 2-10 against playoff teams. and neither Jalen Waddle nor Tyreek had a 100-yard game. I think if you would have had a more well-rounded offense, incorporate parts of the dink and dunk and the run game with Tua to Tyreek, you would have had more success. I don't know why it took Mike McDaniel so long to figure that out. I think he fell in love with his toy Tyreek Hill and the speed and the mismatches that he presented, that's all he wanted to do. He did it way too much. Teams shut it down, and then this team had nothing to fall back on. So it's the strategy and philosophy. I think they had enough personnel to win a playoff game in 2023. They just didn't utilize the personnel correctly. So if Mike McDaniel comes back, one thing I want to know, if I'm Steve Ross, what kind of offense are you bringing back? Because you aren't going to have Tyreek. So, and you probably won't have Tua. So what are you going to do offensively? That's one of the first questions I'd ask if I'm planning on bringing back Mike McDaniel. Tobin,
can't pick up 3rd and 4th and shorts to save his career to the cons list either. Hey, Perk, the decision to bench Tua Tagovailoa, whose decision ultimately do you think it was? Is that strictly a Mike McDaniel decision? Do you think Stephen Ross perhaps had to either okay it, or maybe the decision came from Stephen Ross like, hey, enough is enough, and it's time to go in a different direction?
Here's where things get very interesting. I think that it was a Mike McDaniel decision with Steve Ross approval. And I think what's kind of behind it, what this kind of tells me is that Mike McDaniel has some job security, right? Because if you thought that finishing 6-11 would cost you your job, you would probably stick with Tua, right? You wouldn't go with the rookie 7th round pick. You would probably at least go to Zach Wilson. This going to Quinn Ewers is kind of exploratory, right? Where the record isn't really that important. You're trying to determine what you got in Quinn Ewers. So I think for Mike to make this decision, and I think it's his decision, again, with Steve Ross's approval, you've got to have some job security. You've got to know that your final record is not going to be the final determination in whether you come back next season, and you probably already know that you're coming back next season. That's kind of how I look at this.
I appreciated you this week asking this question, Perk, because I also think Mike McDaniel did not like the hobnobbing with Jalen Ramsey after the game. I know, he claims he told you he never saw it. 1, do you believe him? And 2, do you feel like that had any influence on them being like, you know what, we're done here?
Ooh, this is interesting. I think technically he is correct. He probably did not see it live. He probably has not seen video of it and probably doesn't care to, but he's aware of it. He's very well aware of it. So I think that, yes, he was telling the truth technically, but, I think it's something that probably does have to irritate him mildly from the standpoint of, for all the talk we heard last year of there's a culture problem, Jalen Ramsey was a major part of the culture problem. That I'm told that there were players in that locker room that asked for Jalen Ramsey's removal from the team. And so for Tua to kind of be hobnobbing, he's almost kneecapping Mike, right? He's hobnobbing 100%. With the enemy. So yeah, but I've also been told that had zero to do with the change at quarterback, and I do believe that. But I don't think that could have made Mike happy. I think that was just a small needle into Mike McDaniel from Tua, and I don't think Mike appreciated it at all.
Do you think Quinn Ewers, Perk, has the ability to be a starting caliber quarterback? Like, I'm not suggesting today he's going to look like it, but in general, his skill level, his arm talent, from what you've seen from Quinn Ewers, even coming into the season, do you think he has the ability to actually be a starter in the NFL?
I have no idea. And I don't know what the end game is here with this 3-game tryout, or if it is a 3-game tryout. I asked Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator, what are you hoping to learn here? Are you thinking that you can find out whether Quinn is a starting quarterback? Are you finding out whether you can go into camp next year with Quinn competing for the starting job? What's the end game? And Frank Smith said, we're doing what we think gives us the best chance to beat Cincinnati. So I don't know if they're thinking that this is the next Brock Purdy. I don't know if they're thinking they have their next backup, if they have somebody who can compete with a that they can kind of don't have to be as intense in free agency or the draft finding a starter, because maybe we've got a guy who can start. I don't know what they're trying to figure out here. I think it's a situation of where Quinn barely lost the backup duties to Zach Wilson after training camp. So I guess those two are fairly close in talent. So we'll see if Quinn can be a starter. If you think that Zach has any chance of being the next first round reclamation, and you know that Quinn isn't that far behind Zach, maybe you are seeing if Quinn can go in there and be a training camp competitor for the starting job. But I really don't know what the end game is here with Quinn Ewers.
Perk, what did you make of Tua's reaction to the whole thing? He said he wasn't happy, but was there anything that really stood out from you from his reaction to all this?
I will say this. Tua's been in the locker room. I'm trying to get my days straight. Wednesday and Thursday, he's been in there just hobnobbing with the guys, and really, Tua's not a guy that usually sits in the locker room too much. We'll see him in there every now and then, but in a way, it seems like a weight has been lifted from his shoulders. Now, I'm sure he's frustrated and embarrassed and pissed off, but he's looked a little more relaxed in that locker room the last 2 days. I can tell you that, just kind of joking around, and you can tell that the pressure is not the same as it is when you're a starting quarterback. So definitely a lot of disappointment. I mean, look, this is a guy who, came up as a 5-star recruit and was one of the top quarterbacks in the nation and took over for Jalen Hurts and then came here and he was down with Flo, but then he has his best times with Mike McDaniel. And now Mike McDaniel turns around and gives him the vote of non-confidence. So I'm sure Tua's head is spinning right now.
Perk, I know we'll have a ton of time in the offseason to, do like a postmortem on the season and if, evaluate Tua. But if that was Tua's final game with the Miami Dolphins, was his time in Miami a success, in your opinion?
Oh, heck no. No, not even close. My goodness. I mean, if you didn't win a playoff game, how can it be a success? And really, I look at the Mike McDaniel era as Tua's years. The flow stuff, yeah, whatever. What did he do under McDaniel? 2 playoff appearances, 2 non-playoff appearances. That's not very impressive at all. Really, and aside from throwing to Tyreek, what did Tua do? I mean, he was accurate and he had great anticipation, but we don't see those traits when Tyreek is not out there. His connection to Jalen Waddle in training camp was the best it's ever been, and we wrote about that. We talked about that. They talked about that. But what did it show you on Sundays during the regular season? Nothing. Like that connection didn't lead you to big victories. So I don't see any way you can say that Tua's 6 years here were successful. I would probably give him like maybe a C or a C minus for his years. He was, he had some good moments, but it was more disappointment than good.
Go read Chris Perkins' work in the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Perk, appreciate the time, man.
All right, guys, we'll do it next week.
Sounds good. Always appreciate Perk giving us some time and appreciate him contributing to the list. I got to tell you, Solano, this cons list is a lot longer than the pros list.
It's starting to stack
Even
up.
Even if I put long-winded 3 times.
It's starting to stack up on the con side, huh?
It definitely is, dude. It definitely is. We'll take a break. Some interesting stuff from your Miami Dolphins this week. Settle around the locker room. We'll get into some of that as we get you down to this Week 16 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, the Fighting Burros from Hard Rock Stadium. We're back after this.
Hurricanes basketball plays
Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM as the Week 16 NFL slate continues. Yesterday, you had a big win by the Bears coming back to beat the Green Bay Packers as the Bears are they're humming along, man. Big win for them in overtime with that 16 unanswered points yesterday against Green Bay, who lost Jordan Love in the fold with a concussion. So a big blow for the Green Bay Packers. And then you had the Eagles yesterday beating the Commanders. There was some fisticuffs because they felt like they were running up the score. That's how it went for Nick Sirianni. Yep. A little bit of action. If you guys were just locked into the college, by the way, I got to say, the Canes game, Texas A&M. Listen, not necessarily a classic, but a very, very tight, nerve-wracking game. But man, those other games against the G5 teams.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see the Notre Dame fans very, very upset that they were left out.
I can understand. I mean, also shut up, but I can understand.
You know, the point is to have the 12 best teams in the playoff, is it not? And,
it is.
You know, I watched some of that Oregon game, and hey, man, credit to JMU. Like the Dukes, they don't belong on the same field as Oregon.
No, like it's cool. It's cool that they and Tulane get in, but oof. Did you see Lane Kiffin like congratulating Ole Miss after the win?
No, I didn't. I didn't see that.
He gave him like some. He gave him a tweet because he can't help himself. He has to tweet all the time. I don't think they really want that from you, man. Maybe just keep that on text.
What did he say?
Just a generic like, oh, congratulations to the coaches and the players, and he goes, go beat Georgia, all that. And I just saw it on SportsCenter this morning. I haven't even looked at what the reactions were on Twitter. I can't imagine they were great. I can't imagine they were great. And also, I got my morning fix of Feinbaum being a hater. It's like that. I had a full cup of Cafe Bustelo this morning, and that didn't fire me up as much as Paul Feinbaum being a hater. Like I hate his face. I hate him so much. Because Heather Dinich is like, she's like, I think the Canes could beat Ohio State or at least give them a run for their money. They're 9-point underdogs, 9.5 points. And Feinbaum's like, they're not going to win. Everybody knows they don't belong. I'm just like, I hate him so much. I really dislike Paul Feinbaum.
I thought it was going to be more. I thought it was going to be double-digit dogs, truthfully.
It might be by the time we get there.
Yeah.
It might be by the time they get there.
I think people were impressed, forget Feinbaum. I think people were impressed with what the Hurricanes did yesterday to hold Texas A&M on the road at College Station to 3 points. Like, bro, that's impressive as hell.
Very impressive. Very impressive. Very impressive to deal with the crowd noise and all that. Because even Nick Saban was like, yeah, they pumped the noise in there. It was and felt like some operations in the first half. Like they really had to use their timeouts to get everything organized. But man, it was so gutsy. It was so gutsy. I was riveted throughout, and also sick to my stomach every time they missed kicks or something happened. I wasn't doing well, and I'm like, there's a potential. There's more of these. This is. I'm going to be so nervous on New Year's Eve for this.
Right, because it used to be like when we were growing up, a Big East championship game, like okay, easy. And then you'd play your one game. You were in the national championship game. You had one of those. Now you potentially have 4 of those. Like, oh man, sign me up though, Tobes. Sign me up. Let's go. I can't wait.
What a time. What a time. Let us get to a little segment we like to call on this program, Echolocation.
It's time for Echolocation.
That is how dolphins communicate.
It's okay to be called out as long as you change your behavior.
What's 1,000 yards if it's not like a winning season?
They talk, we do.
Echolocation.
Send it in.
Might have to do a lot of editing to that opening come up next year. I don't know how much that one's going. I don't know how many of those players are going to be here.
Hopefully, Quinn Ewers gives you some good content after the game today.
Hopefully. We'll start off with Miami Dolphins wide receiver 1, Jalen Waddle. Of course, a man who has played with Tua Tagovailoa since college when they were on the Alabama Crimson Tide, who also won this weekend against Oklahoma. This is what Jalen Waddle had to say when asked, you feel bad for Tua?
Do you feel bad for him at all because of your friendship and your long association together?
Bad?
Yeah.
Far as on a
starting job. Yeah. Do you feel bad personally for Tua, Jalen?
Like I say, he's a competitor. He want to be out there. But he's around. Like he's around. I know him on a personal level. Like outside of football. So yeah.
You all found that weird too, right?
Yeah. I mean, is he trying to not say, like, he doesn't want to say, yeah, I feel bad for him, because maybe he doesn't want to make it sound like, hey, it's over for him. But that was like, we know him on a personal level. We know your history with him. Like,
just
okay.
Dan, did you not find that a little strange?
Huh.
Oh yeah, I mean, you see you guys ask me these questions, and yeah, I know you guys. Yeah, you know how it is sometimes.
Right, exactly. It's like, what? All right, you just stated facts, but didn't answer the question. Huh, interesting.
Do you think he feels bad for him?
No, I think he's excited to see if he can get the ball downfield. I think that's what it sounded like to me.
I don't think they've ever been friends, to be honest, even going back to college, because remember when we drafted him, they're like, Tua didn't step up and say he wanted Waddle, and Waddle never said anything about Tua. I don't think they're really friends.
He actually said coming into the league that he preferred Mac Jones over Tua. Like when asked about like which quarterback he preferred Mac Jones.
He had just won a national title with Mac Jones, though, to be fair, hadn't he? Like, what weren't they coming off that title with Mac Jones, if I remember correctly? I mean, that, like, he had literally just won a national title, Tobin. Come on, what are we doing? We're going back to that?
I don't know. Maybe there's been I think he's maybe just frustrated because he's like kind of rough down year.
By the way, you might want to go delete your Mac Jones McCorkle Jones tweets just in case.
Oh, in case he comes here?
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that your boy McCorkle Jones, it will be the starting quarterback here next year.
I hadn't thought about that.
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying, looked pretty decent with San Francisco this year when he got the opportunity. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he'll be here next year.
Bradley Chubb, one of the veteran leaders on this team, this is what he had to say on the Dolphins not letting up even the season, not having playoff stakes.
Yeah, still work to do, still goals to accomplish. I was telling people earlier, like, I didn't play at all last year, and then being able to be back on this field, I don't take nothing for granted, no matter if we playing for the Super Bowl or playing for nothing, you know what I mean? And we're playing for something, playing for each other, playing for these next 3 weeks, and, it's just about finishing it strong. We started it together. We had a season at the beginning where it looked, very grim, and then we found a little bit of light and a little bit of hope, and we're not going to let one game knock that off, and it's just about finishing strong.
There's some perspective from Bradley Chubb.
Sure, but he's also playing for more money. That guy specifically happens to be playing for a lot more money.
Had a decent season. He's had a decent season.
Yeah.
Especially coming off of the knee injury. We'll just move ahead to Jordan Brooks, Dan. Jordan Brooks, this is what he had to say. He played this week. He missed some practice time this week. Should be noted with feet and I think it was knee. But he said he's going to give it a go. And this is what he had to say on just staying motivated even with the season lost.
It should come natural. But as a leader, that's your job to do that, to help motivate where there is no motivation. And so that's been the challenge for me this week. Also, having to motivate myself through having to play through injury and everything that's been going on around the team. And so that's something that I always embrace. And so, like I said, I think as a leader, that is your job to help motivate everybody around you.
There you go. Jordan Brooks on the state of the team as he is going to play through pain to get through this season, try and shut down Joe Burrow today and the Cincinnati Bengals. We will take a break here on Game Day Uncensored, get more into this calamity that is the Miami Dolphins and what the hell is the biggest reason for where we're at right now. We'll get into some of that get into this matchup coming on up and more as the Dolphins are getting ready to take on Cincinnati. We're back after this.
WQAM FM and HD1 Miramar, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and WQAM AM Miami, an Odyssey sports station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
The Dolphins have been eliminated from the playoffs, and with that comes bigger news. Tua has been benched. Quinn Ewers is going to get the start. There's a lot that needs to change this offseason for the Dolphins. Can this be the start of it? Mike McDaniel is on the hot seat, of course, so he has to do something. Here's why he decided to bench Tua.
I think Quinn gives this team the best chance to win. You know, our focus is obviously to win the next 3 games, but in particular, like I tell the players, we are focused on beating the Bengals, so that was the motivation. Zach will be backing him up, and Tua will be the emergency third.
Quinn Ewers on the start.
I think just to go out there and at the end of the day, play the football that I know. You know, it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm super thankful that the staff believes in me to go out there and give us an opportunity to go win an NFL football game. And I know going back on it, telling my 10-year-old, 12-year-old self, you know, the opportunity that I have in front of me, you know, he'd be pretty stoked.
New quarterback, new game. The Bengals are in town. We'll be talking about Tua, Ewers, and the Dolphins' lost season. This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. Tobin, Solana, Omar Kelly, and Chris Perkins on FM 104.3 WQAM. Miami sports leader.
Game Day Uncensored on FM 104.3 WQAM is brought to you by the Lexus TX. Room for all your passions in 3 rows of luxurious comfort. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. By Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Catch massive savings on over 22 acres of new Buick and GMCs at Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Get backed by Morse and visit EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com. And by JM Lexus. JM Lexus has the best team in the business. A 4.8 Google rating with over 22,000 reviews and counting. JM Lexus, West Sample Road, Margate.
And welcome back in, everybody, as we roll on here on Game Day Uncensored on FM 104.3 WQAM. Brendan Tobin alongside Alejandro Solana here with us. Dan Day as well. As you guys will be able to catch Dan Day on the post-game edition of Game Day Uncensored here, as this is what we like to refer to as a football pre-games easy ride, as it's pretty much all quarterback talk here today. Yep. The Miami Dolphins have benched Tua Tagovailoa this week in preparation for this matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. Mike McDaniel has had enough after their loss on Monday Night Football, and Tua really just stinking up the joint for the first 3 quarters. A little garbage time there at the end where he started cutting it loose a little bit, but I got to be honest with you, I was not really into that.
That was the Ryan Tannehill special. I mean, you're out of it, but here come the fourth quarter stats to make it seem like you had a good game, because, you know, it's funny. We had talked about this on the show, where you look at Tua's stats and you're like, oh, all right. Like, if you didn't watch the game, you look at Tua's stats and you say, oh, okay, that was fine. What do you have? 200 and something yards, a couple touchdowns. No,
I think he outproduced Aaron Rodgers.
Right. So you're like, oh, okay. I mean, but those of us that watched the game know that it was 28-3, and he threw maybe one of the worst interceptions of the season, which is saying something. And there was just nothing. There was nothing that made you have any hope that you were going to win that game.
I want to ask you, because, you know, it is kind of a big picture day on top of it just being a game, because honestly, like, you know, what is the consequence of them beating the Bengals other than, like we said, Mike McDaniel could maybe finish with a winning record. But Solana, like, do you look at one thing or another as the biggest reason for this failed rebuild? I know Chris Perkins has said, like, he doesn't really count the Brian Flores era, but it all kind of started back in 2019, and it really, you know, with them looking like the worst team that's ever graced a football field, they finished respectable. It was funny. You sent me a story from Adam Schefter talking about the Dolphins were willing to give. How many picks were they willing to give up for Joe Burrow?
4 this is what was reported. 4 first-round picks is what they offered the Bengals prior to that draft, where Burrow went 1 and Tua went 5.
All they needed to do was lose 4 more games, and they would have had Joe Burrow with no picks. But they didn't. The alleged incentive for Brian Flores was not enough. They won all those games with Fitzpatrick at the end. Could have just gone with John Rosen. Could have had Joe Burrow, but we don't. What do you think? What do you look at? Like, if you had to say number one reason this is blown up in their face, and we are here after 6 years. Even if you want to just put it to the McDaniel, that's fine. But the biggest reason we're here right now, what do you think it is?
Chris Grier.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, honestly, like I saw that this was on the rundown yesterday, and then I see that report from Adam Schefter last night. I was at a wedding, and halfway through the wedding, it's all a bunch of sports fans, and halfway through the wedding, we're all just hammered talking about, oh my God, you see that the Dolphins offered 4 first-round picks. Imagine if we would have had Joe Burrow instead of Tua Tagovailoa. Like that, it's hard for me not to say that the rebuild failed because of Tua Tagovailoa being selected when we're having the conversation after he was benched about how it's done. So there's a lot of factors at play. There was a lot of missed draft selections. The team, in my opinion, was never built properly. The lack of resources or the proper resources to build a solid offensive line. Like, there's a lot that goes into this, Tobin. It's not just Tua, but hey, we're having this conversation after the guy was benched and ultimately probably the last time he'll ever suit up for this organization. We think, yeah, I mean, they missed, and it's okay to say that. You know, it's okay. You had a fun season in 2022, obviously an awesome season in 2023, but you didn't beat playoff teams. And then when you got to the playoffs, you were played off the field. I mean, yeah, like they took the wrong guy. At the time, I'm willing to say I wanted the guy. So I'm not going to sit here and
I had a great time that night.
Yeah, I'm not going to do revisionist history and say, oh, I never wanted him. Like, I wanted Tua, but ultimately now we can look back and say they drafted the wrong guy, and it is what it is. Like, you're going to hit sometimes, you're going to miss sometimes. Unfortunately, with this organization specifically, they miss a hell of a lot more than they hit.
I agree. I do think that Chris Grier is the biggest culprit because I do think that Mike McDaniel showed some good things. I think, you know, to Dan Day's point about him not growing fast enough, I think is fair. Like, you put him in this. A lot of coaches don't get to have that year in the shadows where like no one's really watching. You know, kind of like Aaron Glenn's getting to do this year, where like you're in a situation where you know the team's going to stink. He did come in. That could be good or bad, but he came in with a roster that had a lot of talent. They go and trade for Tyreek Hill. I actually don't even think that was a bad move either. It's like, hey, how can you get like the guy was worth every pick you gave up for him when you go and he's the number 1 player in the NFL and he's breaking franchise records. Like, that's what you're supposed to do if you go all in on a move. The thing with Chris Grier that really just bothered me, and I guess it also relates to, you know, him drafted to it, but like his propensity to just overlook durability in players
for sure
really just was a crazy risk that he even went into this year doing with James Daniels, where he was just like, we're going at this and we're going to go sign a guy who's coming off a torn Achilles. And you're just like, you're going to do what?
Yep.
And it just like the red flags all over the place where he would just ignore stuff was absolutely heinous to me. I cannot imagine, you know, as great a player as Teron Armstead was. It was like you had to go week after week where it was like a guessing game. Like, is he going to be good to go? Is his knee going to shut down in the middle of this game? What are we doing here? Like, what type of team is this building? And then, you know, everybody, even Bradley Chubb had his injury past, you know, like and he's just always like, nah, 100% is the football injury rate. It's like, yeah, well then why are you souping it up with even more injury prone players?
But it's not just, hey, injury prone players, we're taking a flyer on them. Everybody does that, right? Like, hey, we think we can get a guy at a bargin discount
like
here. He's dealing with injuries. but they're paying real money, like cap altering money to guys who might be available but might be injured as well. And look, you can do that one time. Like you're saying, that was a staple of the Chris Greer era. And even this year, man, when we're really looking back at some of the decisions that were made, you mentioned James Daniels. What about Liam Eichenberg, bro? Like you could have used that money. And I don't even really know what's going on with Liam Eichenberg, but you could have used that money on another offensive lineman, another player that hey, let's go take a flyer on somebody here that could be useful for our depth. Like they literally allocated over $1 million on an offensive lineman we know stinks, by the way, to be part of this unit who wasn't available all season.
And $6 million on a quarterback that didn't take a snap last year.
And he isn't even worthy of playing when the season's over.
You gave him $6 million and you were like, oh, this is the guy. And we're talking about $6 million on a team that's broke. Like they didn't have this margin for error where they could have used money all over the place. And they're just like, we should go, we should get the guy that, like, remember when his teammates wore t-shirts for his backup? We should have that guy just in case.
Which is why I hate when you ask me the question, what's the biggest reason for the failed rebuild? I hate just doing Tua. Like I don't like that because, to be 100% honest, Tobin, I have this list here. David Fioranez had tweeted it out the day after Tua was benched and we found out Quinn Ewers would be the franchise's 27th different starting quarterback since Dan Marino retired. This is my life right here. I'm going to read this to you very quickly. This is my life. I don't remember Dan Marino. This is my life. Ready? Jay Fiedler, Damon Heward, Ray Lucas, Brian Greasy, AJ Feely, Sage Rosenfels, Gus Frerotte, Dante Culpepper, Joey Harrington, Cleo Lemon, Trent Green, John Beck, Chad Pennington, Chad Henne, Tyler Thigpen, Matt Moore, Ryan Tannehill, Jay Cutler, Jesus, Brock Osweiler, Ryan Fitzpatrick, your boy, Josh Rosen, Tua Tagovailoa, Jacoby Brissett, Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson, Tyler Huntley, and now Quinn Ewers. And Tobin, when I look at that list, the quarterback that gave me the best memories might be Tua Tagovailoa. Like Jay Fiedler, probably top 3 on this list. Chad Pennington with the 2008 season. And then Tua Tagovailoa. And I don't even think it's close, by the way. Like, that 2023 season was probably the funnest season I've had as a Dolphins fan, 2008 and 2016 being the only other outliers that would be in contention. So I feel, a little uneasy when you ask me that question saying, hey, the biggest reason the rebuild failed is the quarterback, because it's not true. Like, I think the rebuild failed because the general manager who was in charge of the rebuild probably wasn't the right guy to lead a rebuild.
No, not at all. And I think the thing, like, this is the thing with Tua, and this, let's be fair to it, because yes, he did have really great numbers. Look, he had a very tough physical flaw that came up, which was his concussion injuries were really scary.
Yeah.
And they take a toll when they become cumulative. And so that's unfortunate. And it's and people don't want to say that that's a reason for his fall off. And it's not to say he was the guy without flaws, because he certainly had his flaws. But that stuff really feels like that also ruined season. Even in 22, McDaniel's first year. I mean, I think to that Ravens comeback as like, that's his signature game. Like that Ravens team that was good. Yeah, they had injuries on that, but that team is always a perennial, if not contender, like one of the better teams in the AFC. And to have this incredible, you're like, you didn't understand that as a Dolphins fan. You're like, what? We haven't seen this in a year. Big play offense where you could eradicate a 3-touchdown deficit. Like, that's not real life. And so I think that's why everybody kind of got swept up into it, because it was mostly like dinks and dunks and cloud of dust. And maybe you got a Jay Ajayi who has a good run in the middle of a season, or maybe you have the Wildcat that works every once in a while. But to have big play offense, that was a little bit foreign to Dolphin fans. And so I think the only blame I put on Tua, it's not blame. It's just I think the biggest vulnerability was his head injuries. I think were just a real thing because then even last year it was like he said he got the terrible one against Damar Hamlin, and he said he felt fine, but because the Dolphins had to look at it with such a fine-tooth comb and they're like, no, you're just sitting out a month, dude. You're not going to be out for a week.
Right.
Like it's there. It became too much of a problem to overcome for them. That Green Bay game where he's balling out in the first half and then like his fall off in that game was unexplainable. You're like, how did he go from this to that? And he got smacked on the head again. That's why. So I think Chris Greer's decisions were god awful. But I think Tua just having those things maybe just add up to a point where he just didn't look like the same guy this year anymore. Looked like a shot fighter.
He didn't. And I don't think his career's over, by the way. I think 1 year of not taking hits would do wonders for him. And I genuinely hope that, if this is it for him in Miami, I genuinely do hope that he could kind of land somewhere else and have one more opportunity to at the very least, like play football. But Tobin, I saw yesterday a meme that was going on kind of viral on Dolphins Twitter, which was rest in peace. It was a tombstone. Rest in peace, the Tua debate. Here lies, the Tua debate. And it said, nobody was right. We were just all losers. And
that's great.
Which is great. But I do
sad.
Very sad. But I do want to say that I don't agree with that, honestly, because while yes, the concussions did lead to, ultimately his downfall for sure. This was a player that at around 2022, even before that concussion in Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football, there were questions about his physical limitations and his injury concerns. And the people who kind of looked at his body and said, hey, I don't know if he'll be able to withstand the constant torture of an NFL season, those people were right because ultimately that's what did him in. And it sucks because I do think he's talented, but yes, the concussions definitely impacted his ability to stay healthy and to be on the field and how we view him. But also, Tobin, we're watching somebody who is physically right now limited. He can't throw the ball over 30 yards and he can't take hits and he can't run. I mean, we're literally we're watching somebody who's not fit to play the position right now.
And he's not 30. He's not Phillip Rivers. I watched the Phillip Rivers game last week, and that's pretty much what it was. And Phillip Rivers, I felt less nervous about than I watched Tua on Monday Night Football, where he's scrambling.
Because Phillip Rivers weighs 289 pounds, or I'm sorry, 389 pounds right now. But he could take a hit. It's unfortunate, but that's why I say, look, I'm not doing a victory lap. That wasn't my take, but there were a lot of people who said, hey, I don't know if his body's going to be able to withstand the NFL. And bro, we're 6 years into his career and he can't move. Those people were right, man.
That being said, he's going to have a Dante Culpepper against the Dolphins before it's all said and done.
100%. And half of them are rushing touchdowns. I believe it.
We'll take a break. Speaking of broken quarterbacks, Joe Burrow in this match. We'll give you some keys to the game. And also, he's sad. Something there? Maybe disgruntled. Could we get in on that game? We'll get into that on Gameday Uncensored after this.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Ed Moore
for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM. Brendan Tobin alongside Alejandro Solana. Dan Day with us here today as we got the post-game edition of Game Day Uncensored coming your way today at 4 p.m., which you guys can listen to here. You guys can watch it. Thank you to all of our viewers on YouTube and Twitch, 104.3 WQAM on YouTube. The handle Miami 104.3 WQAM on Twitch, as your Dolphins are getting set to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's get to our keys to the game here, which are brought to you by Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall. Shop exceptional Cadillac offers now at the 3-time Cadillac Dealer of the Year, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Visit EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. You're always backed by Morse. Omar Kelly going to join us at the top of next hour as well. But the Cincinnati team also going through their own struggles, also having their own injured quarterback issues. The difference in Cincinnati, I think, between here is everybody in Cincinnati seems quite terrified that Joe Burrow is too good for them, and is it seems like hinting at either an Andrew Luck situation where he's ready to walk away. Then he kind of threw cold water and goes, "Oh no, I want to play when I'm old." So then one has to wonder, like, is he going to actually finish his career with the Bengals, who are notoriously a cheap franchise and have also their own team building issues? By the way, no relation to their GM, Duke Tobin, for any Bengals fans are here. That's not I don't know.
I was hoping that there was relation.
I have no idea who that guy is. No idea. I mean, his name is Duke. I mean, what are we talking about? It's strange. Intangibles Duke too. So I am wondering, Solana, what do you make of what's going on with Joe Burrow? Because, I mean, these press conferences he's having are wild lately, where he's just like, he's not happy. Maybe there's something going on in the personal life. I don't know. He's obviously gotten the snot kicked out of him again. Tua's played more games than him. That's which is a crazy. If you want to talk about the durability issues of Joe Burrow, the difference is this guy's beaten Patrick Mahomes at his peak and has gotten to a Super Bowl, nearly won a Super Bowl. And so you know the guy at his best is good enough to get you to the promised land. It's just, I don't know if they can keep him on the field.
The fact that they offered 4 first-round picks for him, Tobin, like, think about how different our entire life would have been over the past couple of years with Joe Burrow as the Dolphins quarterback. You're right, by the way. Everybody wants to talk about Tua and his health and this and that. Like, meanwhile, Jackson Dart has had more concussions this year as a rookie than Tua has had in his entire career. Burrow sounds depressed to me.
Yeah.
Like, he just sounds like he's not having fun. But, I bet you the Bengals, the same iteration of whatever it is that we do over in Cincinnati, they're saying, hey, you wanted these 2 wide receivers. Like, you stuck your neck out for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to both be here. Oh, well, we had to pay 2 wide receivers a bleep ton of money. Guess what? That money has to come from somewhere. That's your defense. Your defense stinks because we don't have enough money to allocate resources there. And, yeah, your offensive line isn't great because we're paying 2 wide receivers all of our cap, plus you, all of our cap. And when you do that, when 3 guys are literally taking up like 60% of the cap, the rest of the team's not going to look good. So, I'm sure they're having those conversations over there, which is like, this is what you wanted, bro. Like, you wanted T. Higgins, you wanted Jamar Chase. Well, stay healthy. Go win games.
Remind me a little bit, though, like it was kind of like, reminded you a little bit of like Jimmy Butler, like where, you're banging your head against the wall because you just don't feel like the team is good enough, and you're starting to lose your joy. Now, I'm sure he won't like go out there and take, behind the back throws to anybody and actively tank it and dye his hair. But I feel like there's a little bit of organizational frustration because, like, look, I understand you got to get high priced guys, but there's also a draft, and you can't put a team anything. There's nothing capable of putting your team around. Like the Rams did it. It's like they're going out there. They can revitalize their defense. The Broncos, and this guy's sitting here just like no line, no defense, like forever. Yes, you drafted 3 good players. You're not like, did Duke Tobin forget how to do it? So I do wonder though, Solana, the quarterback, like at this point of his career, it is rare that they would ever become available. It's not never happened, but I do wonder if if he's not going to Andrew Luck it, which it seems like he's not going to. Does he find a way out there somewhere? And then does Stephen Ross, who once offered 4 first-round picks to get the guy out of college, does he snoop around there and offer just does he find some way somehow give them an offer that's too good to refuse to get a guy that he once offered 4 first-round picks? I find it interesting that story came out during this matchup, and that this story comes out, the week that they're facing off. Almost makes you think like, I'll do it again, and I'll surround you with whatever you want, Joe Burrow in sunny Miami. Now they'll blow it, obviously, but that to me almost was like a bat signal to the man who once almost bought a Batmobile. Like, hey, Joe Burrow, you want to be warmer?
They're not trading Joe Burrow to Miami. I hate to let everybody know on this, but it's just not happening.
Why not?
It's not happening. Because it's not like they're not going to trade Joe Burrow.
What if he makes a stink?
Bengals, okay, make a stink. We're not trading you, bro. The Bengals are in a situation. Tobin, I just read you the 27 starting quarterbacks since Dan Marino.
Yep. And
none of them come close to Joe Burrow. Like the Bengals are in a spot where they've accomplished what every organization in the NFL could only dream to accomplish, which is you get the top pick and you draft a quarterback who ends up being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. It's very rare to find one of those guys. Like the Kansas City Chiefs lucked into Patrick Mahomes. The New England Patriots lucked into Tom Brady. These guys lost, the Bengals lost games properly, tanked, and they found that guy. They found the franchise-changing quarterback. He is still, think about this, he is still the only quarterback other than Tom Brady to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yep.
In the AFC, I'm saying. Obviously, Jalen Hurts did it as well, but I'm saying in the AFC. And that'll continue because Mahomes is in the playoffs this year. Like, they found the guy, and now they're going to move on from him because you're a little sad. Oh, Joe Burrow, a little sad. Like,
yeah,
hey Joe Burrow.
Sad quarterback.
Hey, Joe Burrow, how about you stay healthy? And, hey, Joe Burrow, how about you don't suck the first 8 weeks of the season?
He really
that happens every year. The Bengals, literally for the past 5 years, weeks 1 through 6, just bet against them because they're going to lose. But then the last 8 weeks of the season, make sure you're putting money on them to win because they're going to win every single game.
But I think the thing is, like, how many quarterbacks do you hear sound like that? Like, you don't hear quarterbacks who are like opining about, well, Micah Parsons got traded before the season. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady didn't finish with their teams. Like, that's just some strange stuff to put into the ether. And I think, like, if you were to do something absolutely bananas and crazy, like if you were to just be like, hey, you call them up and you're just like, here's the Godfather offer. You figure out what the money, I don't know, like salary cap wise. So, like, forgive me, the salary cap in the NFL confuses me, but let's just say it works. And you offer him 4 first-round picks. Do the offer you were willing to. It's obviously a risk on the Dolphins' part because he doesn't have the greatest durability in the world. But this is Stephen Ross. This is Stephen Ross who tried to convince Tom Brady to come to his team twice, flew across the country to get Jim Harbaugh when he had a coach, tampered to try and get Sean Payton. Like, this guy has tried to do some drastic things. He's been dying to get his quarterback. And if he offers Duke Tobin 4 first-round picks, Duke Tobin, hey, you could be the guy. You could sell them on fresh start. We're not, maybe we're not very good. We don't have a great roster next year, so who knows what that pick's going to be for you the next year. I don't know. I think this is one of those things where I can see the Dolphins at least trying to make the call again. And you go to Champ Kelly, hey, Champ, here's my idea. You want to be my GM? Here's the thing. You're gonna have to go out there and make this call.
He's not afraid to take the big swing, and I could see him saying, "Put it out there. Let Joey be. No, I want him."
Yeah,
I'm with that. By the way, as you're going through the list of things Stephen Ross has tried to do, like the backdoor deals he's tried to do, which have ultimately failed and led him flagrantly, and has put the Dolphins in worse situations. All of those moves would have been successful moves. Tom Brady ends up winning a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not saying that he wins a Super Bowl down here, but like, look at how it paid off for the Buccaneers, who ultimately got Tom Brady. I don't know if anybody's paying attention, but the number 1 overall seed in the AFC right now is the team that's being coached by Sean Payton.
Yep.
We put 70 on their asses, and since then, they have more wins this season than the Dolphins have combined since the 70-point victory. And Harbaugh is kind of having a good season as well in the NFL again. Here he comes. So all three of those things would have ultimately been better than whatever it is the hell we're watching today, hoping that Quinn Ewers, your 7th round pick, is going to end up being good. But you're right. Like, he's not afraid to take the big swing. He's just failed miserably every time he's done it. Maybe, I don't know, 4th time's a charm, Tobin. He lands Joe Burrow.
We have our actives and actives. We'll give you that list coming on up as the Dolphins dealing with some injuries and some veterans getting sat down as the Dolphins are going to try and give some young guys some opportunities here with these final 3 weeks. We'll take a break here on Gameday Uncensored. Back with more after this.
Every
Now for more Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM as we get you ready for Week 16 of the Dolphins season. They are taking on the Cincinnati Bengals at Hard Rock Stadium. Shout out to everybody tuning in. If you're at the tailgate, you're getting a couple tailgates in before the end of this puppy. Enjoying some time with your family as we're about to embark on the holidays. Hopefully you guys get some enjoyment out of that. And maybe Quinn Ewers does a thing or two to excite you about a thing or two there today. Let us get to our actives and inactives, which are brought to you by JM Lexus. It is the December to remember. It is here at JM Lexus, a J.D. Power Dealer of Excellence winner for 5 consecutive years. Save up to $2,000 with no dealer fee now at JM Lexus. We take a little looky-loo here, Solana, at our actives and actives list, and just very odd to see the top up there. Tua Tagovailoa is the emergency third quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Very, very strange. The biggest one of note is wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akine, your boy. He is inactive for the Miami Dolphins.
Apparently, Barry Jackson was tweeting out. He said it's smart move. Per source with direct knowledge, there was never a firm cutoff point for Nick Westbrook-Akine snaps to ensure Finn's a compensatory 4th-round pick because of playing time of others on other teams. So apparently, there's this situation going on here where, number of snaps played could lead to the Dolphins getting a compensatory 4th-round pick because of the Nick Westbrook-Akine signing. So it looks like this isn't necessarily so much hey, you stink and we're going to go with somebody else. But apparently the Dolphins are trying to make sure they're lining themselves up for an extra pick next year.
Well, he does stink, but if that was the case and he didn't stink, how could they do that if this is all about winning and you're trying to look for the best chance to win?
Which is exactly why I don't understand Mike McDaniel saying that benching Tua and starting Quinn Ewers is all about winning, because it makes no sense.
Minkah Fitzpatrick is inactive. No surprise there. He was dealing with a calf injury. Mike McDaniel says not season-ending, but I got to be honest with you, I don't know what Minkah's coming back for this year. If calves are a scary situation.
Yep.
Cornerback Isaiah Johnson inactive. Kendall Lamb, the backup tackle. Taj Washington, who Lincoln Riley, you lied to me, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
There's why don't you, Tobin, percentage chance Taj Washington is on the roster next year?
Eric Ezukama is still stuck around for a couple of years, so I'm not ready yet. And Matthew Butler is inactive today. As of note, on the Bengals, the biggest active for them that was a question mark was T. Higgins, who was dealing with a concussion. He is active for the Bengals today, so enjoy that, boys. That's going to be a tough duo to deal with today. The Dolphins also, by the way, brought up Theo Weiss, the Weasel. He's up, of course. He has some experience with Quinn Ewers. We saw that connection in preseason, so we could be seeing that connection there today in a regular season game, Solana.
Yeah, I'm low-key a little excited about the Weasel. But more importantly, Tua, inactive today, Tobin, is like I'd seen it tweeted out by a couple of the national guys. Tua inactive, emergency third quarterback. And you said it's weird. And as I'm looking at it, it's just like, it doesn't make sense in my mind, like emergency third quarterback, because that means he's healthy enough to play, but he's a healthy scratch.
Yep. He's a healthy scratch. It's crazy. It is crazy that we've reached this point. It makes sense. Look, I get it, but it's pretty bananas when you just see it out there. It's just like, oh yeah. And they're going to talk about him nonstop today on the broadcast. The camera's going to be on him nonstop.
I'm looking here like Teddy Bruschi was on ESPN NFL. They talk about Dolphins benching Tua. That's the little thumbnail at the very bottom of the screen. Everybody has a take on it. We know, right? How many times have we talked about Tua playing well or Tua not playing well leads to national headlines? Because everybody wants to have a take on this guy.
Thank you to Leroy Hort, who has chimed in. Nick Westbrook-Ikhines' hands have been inactive all year. If I had the point button, Leroy, I would give it to you.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
I mean, he has done absolutely nothing. He has done nothing. Didn't he catch 9 touchdowns last year? I mean, it wasn't tight.
He was supposed to be like the red zone target for us this year. You know, that's how he was sold to us. Oh, great red zone target. Very productive in the red zone. An end zone target for Tua. Big hands.
You know what I've learned? You know what I've learned, Solana? Titans Reddit, not reliable, because they were like so upset that Nick Westbrook-Ikhines was gone, and they were like laughing at us when we had Aaron Brewer. They're like, dude's a bum. Enjoy that. Well, Aaron Brewer's a good player, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhines sucks. So
now,
you guys,
yeah, we literally landed the best center in the NFL, and they're like, have him, yeah, and then they gave us the worst wide receiver we've seen in Miami in a long time, and they were all like crying over the fact that they lost him.
Yeah. Well, he has not been very good this year. Noah Fant is out for the Bengals. He was around some Dolphins rumors. The kicking situation, you could take a little victory lap on. Riley Patterson lives to fight another week. I got to be honest with you, Solana. I don't really understand why they're even bringing back Jason Sanders. If he's got a hip injury, like, what's the purpose of that? Why not just let Riley Patterson finish out the year? It sounds like Sanders is going to make his debut for those very important last 2 games next week. That's what it sounds like, but I don't really understand it. I feel like Riley deserves to keep the job and finish it out.
Yeah, why mess up a situation that's clearly working for you? By the way, he hit a 50-plus yarder on Monday Night Football, and I was running my victory lap on our text thread with Hawk and Crowder, and then he botched the the kickoff right after, like just botched it. So that wasn't great. It's a weird situation too, because like Jason Sanders will probably be your kicker next year.
I would think so.
Right. So what does he have to prove something that he still got it? I mean, he was hurt. It happens, right? Like he had to sit out a year. You found a quality replacement, and Riley Patterson, good luck to you in your next stop. And Jason Sanders will be back next year. Why bring him back for 2 games?
Maybe the idea is like, do you want to check to see if he's good for next year? Like, do you want to just see if he's got, like, if he's, I mean, I guess when you're healthy, you're healthy. I just feel bad for Riley Patterson. He's just like, all right, hit the bricks, kid. Thanks for the kicks.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't need you anymore.
You were awesome all year. 2 games left. See ya. Because you're not keeping 2 kickers on the roster, right? Like they're probably going to cut them.
Nah, this isn't college.
They're going to waive him. That's brutal, man.
I liked yesterday, by the way, in the Texas A&M game where the guy they just benched the kicker like immediately. They're like, we're going back to the other guy who sucks. Immediately, they're just like, all right, well, they don't have a lot of confidence in their kickers right now. And they had like, college, you can have however many guys you want. They got 3 kickers.
Yeah,
they're all just hanging around.
The kicker who had his kick blocked, you saw his numbers, like 11 of 19 this season kicking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so bad. that's really bad. By the way, Matthew Judon, they waived Matthew Judon, and he got picked up. Maybe that's a Riley Patterson situation. Like they're gonna do him a solid. Hey, go kick for a contender. Go get picked up in case there's injury elsewhere.
No, he also sucked. Like Matthew Judon was not good this year. I saw him flat on his face a lot this year. He was not a good player for the Miami Dolphins. Who did he get? The Bills, right? The Bills picked him up.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess they worked him out. They signed him to the practice squad. What's the most memorable Matthew Judon moment? Was it week 1 in Indianapolis where he roughed the kicker or the punter? Right? Didn't he rough the punter? That's it. That's the most memorable Matthew Judon moment in a Dolphins jersey.
No, probably. Yeah, he was really bad for the Dolphins this year. I mean, like I get it. He was he was one of these guys. They were just like, we're adding Judon to Jalen Phillips and Chop Robinson.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
It's gonna be great. What a year this is gonna be, guys.
Depth. Depth with the pass rushers. That makes sense. The pass rush is gonna salvage the defense. Secondary, you won't even notice how bad they are because the pass rush is just gonna be so good, man.
Meanwhile, I couldn't get to anybody. And by the way, it just stunted the growth of Chop Robinson because Chop Robinson going to get any snaps the first month and a half of the season because they had Judon out there just getting to nobody.
fast forward 4 weeks into the season, we're all just weeping.
Yeah. I mean,
like, pass rush sucks. Secondary sucks. The only player worth anything is Jordan Brooks on the defensive side of the football. And fast forward to week 16, and the Tua Tagovailoa era is over.
He finished the season. This was Matthew Judon. He finished with 19 total tackles, 9 solo, 10 assisted, no sacks, no forced fumbles. How many tackles for loss? Jeez Louise.
So what's up with Chop Robinson? Like, is this you really think it was an issue of his growth was stunted because I know Barry Jackson had gotten that out of him where prior to that Commanders game in Madrid, where he talked about not really being on the field a lot, kind of hindered his progress, and he wasn't complaining about it, but he was just being honest. But he hasn't really looked like the guy we thought he was going to look like this year at all, Tobin. At a certain point, shouldn't he have a game or two where you're like, hey, that dude's still in there?
Agreed. I mean, it's unfortunate that that goes in hand. I mean, like last year, I would say the star of last year's drafts right now looking like Patrick Paul, not him, which you still do need to start left tackle. But yeah, I don't know. This has been a tough year for him for sure. He has not blossomed. He's still young. We've seen flashes of it, but you got to be a completed player, and that's been a tough go of it. Now it's going to be a lot on his plate because he might be the only dude next year if Chubb doesn't stick around. They've already gotten rid of Jalen Phillips, so I think those opportunities will be there for him next year. But certainly for him, it's been a bit of a tough year. That's for sure.
There's a certain number of guys that you look at and you say, okay, they're still going to be here next year, and you still want to figure out like, okay, what do you have? Can you build around them? Obviously, Patrick Paul, definite yes, right? Jonas Savaitinaya. I mean, you
don't really have a choice,
right? You just don't. Aaron Brewer, sign me up for more Aaron Brewer as much as possible. And then on the defensive side of the football, you paid Zach Sealer, but Chop Robinson, and then if you can keep Jordan Brooks, I think that has to be, and then Kenneth Grant, obviously. Those are like the guys you're going to build around.
Yep. I mean, they're going to have to draft a cornerback next year. I mean, which is terrifying for this team because it feels like every time they draft a cornerback, the guy ends up being a bum since Xavier Howard. I mean, you get Storm Duck back and Cater. I don't know. I feel like Cater Kohou's been playing on a minimum his entire contract, so I don't know if he'll get swept away. But yeah, that secondary, especially with the cornerback spot, feels like that's got to be addressed. I don't know if it's numero uno, but maybe that could be a sweet spot. I haven't really dove into the draft at all this year, so I don't. I'm speaking from ignorance.
Well, we don't even know where they're going to pick, right? Like depending on how these 3 games go, they could be a top 10 pick or they could be the 16th overall selection. By the way, I was just looking it up very quickly here because you talked about drafting cornerbacks and the nightmare. Cam Smith didn't get picked up by anybody. Dude's still a free agent.
Damn.
That's think about how bad you have to be where you were a second round pick. You didn't play in 3 years or 3 seasons, right? 3.
This was his 3rd, I think.
And then you get waived and nobody picks you up. You're like 23 years old. You were a second round pick. Nobody picked you up.
He only got 1 tryout too since he's been cut.
Jeez. Do you know who it was with, Dan?
I want to say it's either the Bills or the Steelers. I couldn't remember.
somebody who was looking for intel.
Yeah, that's
somebody was like, yeah, what do you got over there? Listen, he ain't gonna give it to you. Trust me. Barely cracked the playbook open when he was here.
So random, not that it matters, but just because I looked up Cam Smith, his major, experimental psychology.
Oh, is that like majoring in ayahuasca?
Yeah, like what the hell is experimental psychology?
That was another one too. Wasn't it like, didn't Chris Greer's kid play at South Carolina? Didn't he give him the intel on that one?
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome job, guys. Just all around. Great job, guys. Great job. Clap it up. It's a great job. Omar Kelly from the Miami Herald. He joins us next.
Hey, we want to hear what
an Odyssey sports station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
The Dolphins square off against the Bengals today at Hard Rock Stadium, and Tua will not be playing. He has been benched. Quinn Ewers is going to get the start as the Dolphins' lost season continues. Mike McDaniel, also the subject of a major change on the decision to bench Tua.
This 2025 team needed me to make the decision solely for what gives us the best chance to win. That includes all players. I understand the pros and cons of all the different formats of the way I could play this out, but I need convicted quarterback play. This team needs convicted quarterback play. I thought Quinn gave us the best chance to do that.
Quinn Ewers with his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to, have the opportunity to play in the NFL, and for that to be coming is just truly a blessing, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. I was happy.
There will be plenty of talk this offseason about what the Dolphins need to do. We're on it. But today, the Dolphins have a game against the Bengals at Hard Rock Stadium. Time to break down what we're going to see. This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana, Omar Kelly, and Chris Perkins on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
Game Day Uncensored on FM 104.3 WQAM is brought to you by the Lexus TX. Room for all your passions in 3 rows of luxurious comfort. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. By Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Catch massive savings on over 22 acres of new Buick and GMCs at Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. Get backed by Morse and visit EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com. And by JM Lexus. JM Lexus has the best team in the business. A 4.8 Google rating with over 22,000 reviews and counting. JM Lexus, West Sample Road, Margate.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM. Brendan Tobin alongside Alejandro Solana here with you. Dan Day producing for us. You guys can catch Dan today on the post-game edition of Game Day Uncensored. That'll come your way 4 o'clock today right here on QAM as the Dolphins are getting set to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And we will check in with our guy, Omar Kelly, Miami Dolphins columnist from the Miami Herald. Omar, how are you, man?
I'm alive, Tobin. How are you, sir? I didn't know that you were akin to the GM of the Cincinnati Bengals. Had no clue.
Please don't put that on me. I don't want Joe Burrow thinking that I'm responsible for him being sad.
Yeah, that's a weird, man. That's a weird situation there. Yeah, Joe clearly wants to do the Carson Palmer.
Yep. No, this is what I thought, Omar. Right? Like you see that leak story that came out from Adam Schefter, just mentioning the Dolphins. Yeah. Kind of made me feel like, let Joe Burrow's camp know, like, hey, you want a life preserver? We'll throw a lot of picks at them.
One Joe Burrow's camp wouldn't know the details of the offer. Only Cincinnati and Miami would, and the executive that would know that does talk around here that was around here during those days was Chris Greer. Okay, so it doesn't really make any sense that Chris Greer, departed man who's probably got an NDA, is leaking information to Adam Schefter, even though this information was known 5 years ago, which is like what bothers me about it, because why is it relevant today? And this is what I've been trying to figure out for the last 24 hours. This was known 5 years ago heading into that draft. The Dolphins offered 4 first-round picks. Their number 5, their number 18, their number 31, and then their own pick in 2021. Nobody would take that offer, just so we're on the record. Nobody's taking that offer for, like, you wouldn't take that offer for Cam Ward. So exactly why would you take that offer for Joe Burrow, who was considered a generational quarterback? Now, is Joe Burrow worth 4 first-round picks now? Hell no. He can't stay healthy. So why is this relevant now? What somebody trying to prove that, hey, Miami didn't want Tua all along? Well, you chose Tua over a whole lot of good quarterbacks from Justin Herbert, to Jordan Love, to Jalen Hurts. You chose them over a lot of good quarterbacks. Some that have won championships.
Here's my thought on it, Omar. This is what I think. I think that you have an owner who has been thirsting to figure out this quarterback thing forever. What does he care how many picks he gives up? He's 100 years old, Omar. He just wants.
I don't disagree with you, but
he doesn't care. So he puts it back out there in the ether that, hey, Joe, remember when we wanted to do it?
To Adam Schefter. No, that's not coming from Steve Ross. Steve Ross is not showing you his failures. He's showing you his highlights. He's showing you his victories. He's not telling you about the time he had a failed trade offer. You ever hear him bring up? The time that he wanted to draft Lamar Jackson and everybody told him he was crazy?
This is what I would say though. I don't look at him putting that out there as a failed trade. I think it's looking about how much you wanted a guy who's all of a sudden flirting with the idea of going to a new destination. Like this Joe Burrow's out there and he's like, oh, Micah Parsons, I never saw that one coming. Peyton Manning didn't finish with the same team. Like Joe Burrow seems like he wants to be wooed, and Stephen Ross is here to woo.
Okay, I could. Stephen Ross doesn't make any decisions. He doesn't like to make any decisions. He should make decisions, but he doesn't.
Well, maybe that's changing though, Omar. Maybe Stephen Ross has said, "Hey, I've got to grab the bull by the horns here. I've got to be the guy who became a mogul, became a billionaire. Like it's time for me to start calling some shots around here because why not?"
I have actually thought about writing that column on many occasions. And you know why this season? Because everything that I've ever heard that Steve Ross actually wanted to do, and I'm telling you, I don't hear these things after the fact. I actually hear them in the moment. And I go, that's interesting. It would have panned out better for this organization. Now, that's not kissing his butt or whatnot, but it's just like, but every time Steve's like expresses a thought or an idea or an opinion, everybody's like, shut up, sit down. You don't know football. Okay, well, kind of. He would probably do better than the people that he puts in charge of his organization. But that's problem number one. Actually start putting people smart and intelligent and good at football and good at leadership and good at talent evaluation in charge of your organization, because that's what you consistently have failed to do. And good at communication skills and good at people skills, because I can name from Joe Philbin to Adam Gase to Brian Flores to Mike McDaniel. I could name all of their warts. Collectively together, I'm not even sure they make one good head coach.
It does scare me that there's an open job now for general manager, and Steve Ross is just going to go, bleep it, Mike Tannenbaum, you're back. Like it's just no. He's probably
just going to go champ cap. He's terrified of the coaching. I mean, of the hiring process. That's not debatable. But but here's the thing: the things that you should be scared to do, those are the things that you should do. And you didn't make yourself a gazillion billionaire being weak, being soft, being timid. Like you're rebuilding all of Palm Beach right now. Like you just rebuilt all of Hudson Yard in New York. Like you've done bold things. You're an innovator. Why is it that you're so timid and scared to take the bull by the horns with your own franchise?
I'm with you, man. It's time to start throwing that thing around, bro.
He probably kicks around one day. He goes, "I've built cities." Chris Greer, how could you not build an offensive line with 6 years? You kept thinking Eichenberg was the answer.
No, Eichenberg is your savior. Eichenberg was going to fix everything. And in fact, I will make the argument Eichenberg is probably still better than your second overall pick, who's been a starter every single game.
That
and
is
probably arguably rated the worst offensive guard in the NFL.
That's the most frightening sentence you've ever said on WQAM right there. That's going to give me nightmares.
It is true. It is true. Sad to say it, but it is true.
Omar, in this scenario that Tobin is pointing at, where the Dolphins make some insane offer for Joe Burrow, let's just say, right, hypothetically speaking, Stephen Ross decides.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem I have with this. Quinn Ewers is starting today. Not to say that this is something we should look forward to, because we know what it is. It is what it is, and it's like I say, it's like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. Okay, it is what it is. We're done with Tua. Quinn Ewers is starting. We're playing Theo Weiss for God's sakes. It is what it is. It's Fight Club. We don't talk about it. But why have we let Adam Schefter hijack the narrative for the day, the week, the weekend? Like, we already know we're starting fresh with a new quarterback. Why now are we just giving all our draft picks for Joe Burrow, a broken down quarterback who might be elite, might not be elite, but already has the best wide receiver unit in the NFL, taking one team to the Super Bowl, but has never had a consistent winner? Well, why all of a sudden is this what we need to do?
I think you're right. And my question wasn't even really about Joe Burrow. It's just using that as a meat shield to get to what I was going to ask you, Omar, which is, if the Dolphins do move on from Tua and they pay him this exorbitant amount of money.
Not an if. It is not an if.
Okay.
We're done.
Well, we're done. And they're gonna move on from him. They're gonna pay him out and take that massive cap hit next season. Like, can they even go out and get a quarterback who, what are your options in that situation?
There are no limitations to what you can do because the salary cap isn't real. Dead money is not paid to anybody. It's just fantasy monopoly money. Now, will you be heavily restricted on what you can do in terms of the talent that you can add and procure, free agents you can sign? Absolutely. But I've covered this team for 18 years, and year one of every single head coach, they do not spend big money. They invest with what they got. They go with their draft pick. They go young. They throw people into the deep end, see who sinks and swims. And then the next year they spend big money. So next year will be a purge year no matter what. You're purging Tyreek Hill, which, all according to Adam Schefter, needs to be traded now. Who the hell is trading for Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill, you're cutting Bradley Chubb. Obviously, you're going to June 1st Tua. That this relationship, it's over. You already slept with her best friend. It's done. It's not going back in the bottle. It's over. Like you just broke up with them and slept with his best friend. It's over. It's over. You can't put it back.
Teron Armstead says it's not over. He swears he's starting next year.
Nah, well, because Teron Armstead is following the money, but here's the problem, and this is something that we've been talking about. Me and you guys, we've been talking about this for a month since the Madrid game. Tua's arm has died.
Yep.
It's not coming back. His athleticism is gone. We don't know if it's coming back. I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback anymore. And that's sad to say, but that's just the reality of it. And there are people who are taking victory laps 6 years later, and then there are people who are mourning the situation because they thought they were right, and obviously turned out to be a bust. I'm sorry. Six years in his career, his body has betrayed him. This is where we are. I don't think there's any turning back.
What do you think, Omar, happened with him and McDaniel this year, right? Like, these guys were BFF. And is it just a performance thing, or do you feel like there was a rift of frostiness that developed over the year?
You want my petty answer, or you want my educated answer?
Both.
Okay, my petty answer is when I saw you yuckity it up with Jalen Ramsey, my enemy, the guy who's called me soft, who went on the camera and said basically, and everybody thought he was talking about a tight end, but he's really talking about me. Yeah, we were over.
Yeah.
Now, that's my petty answer. Mike is going to tell you, I didn't see it. Okay, sure, Mike, because I know you watched the TV copy of it on the flight, you liar. Sorry, let me take that back because I'll get a call from Ann.
Yeah, don't say what happens on a flight.
Oh yeah, I'm not on a flight, so
he's not on flights. Do I
have? Then the rules don't apply. He's right. Like, come on, dude. Like, you're sitting there hobnobbing with a guy that was his mortal enemy. Of course, that had to play a part in it. I mean, he's. Omar, there's no way that it didn't affect Mike McDaniel. That had to have pissed him off.
It pissed me off too because, and here's something I'll tell you guys. Tua was also part of the reason Jalen Ramsey was gone. So it did piss me off. It pissed him off because it pissed me off. But the real answer is when Mike couldn't go to the hurry up offense, got called out for it on TV, and for 2 days made really stupid excuses why he couldn't go to the hurry up offense. But the truth was that if he did go to a hurry up offense, he would have embarrassed Tua because Tua can't throw the ball anymore. Mike knew he needed to make a change. And this is this comes directly from people in the know. When you know you cannot run the hurry up offense because your quarter cannot throw to the outside, or your quarterback has no drive on the ball. He has no drive on the ball. This is people who coach the game say they don't even have to go man-to-man against the Dolphins. They don't have to defend the perimeter because Tua can only throw the ball 25 yards and there is no drive on the ball. It's over. You cannot go to hurry up. So it's over. There's nothing you could do. You can't get his arm back. Maybe you rest him a month, it comes back. But even then, it's maybe it's the hip, maybe it's arthritis, maybe it's the ankle. There's something wrong, and we've been talking about it for a month. You think the NFL didn't notice it?
No, for sure. And he even kind of admitted it at the middle of the year. He was like, "Oh yeah, my ankles, all this stuff that I have, it's caught up
that
with
was
him."
the first month of the season. That was the first month of the season he admitted that.
I was like,
Yeah,
what?
I mean,
It's kind of how I left with
he's
every press
honest.
conference from him this year. I was just like, wow, this dude. I mean, the honesty and the just whatevs, just letting it rip.
But you know what? The one thing I will say in his 3-minute press conference after he had gotten benched, and it was really salty, and it was salty, and I know you've listened to every minute of it, Tobin. When he was asked about the hip, he was like, "No."
Yeah, of course.
Adamantly, no.
He needs to tell those
Has
other
nothing
teams
to do
it's
with
good. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing
Come
to
on,
see here.
man. Nothing to see there.
Is Mike McDaniel's job safe? Omar, do these 3 games matter?
If Mike McDaniel's job is safe, then Steve Ross is more incompetent than we know.
Jeez, he's not.
But do these 3 games matter though? Does he, if he wins these 3 games, or if Quinn Ewers looks good, does any of this stuff matter right now?
If he wins these 3 games, he's safe. Want to win these 3 games? Here, play with your number 3 quarterback and go ahead and do it.
Omar, appreciate the time.
You could show me you could do it. You could keep your job.
Omar, appreciate the time, man.
All right, guys.
All right, there you go, Omar Kelly. Go read his work in the Miami Herald. Always a fantastic job with us. That was that segment was on fire. It was great.
It's over when Omar's telling you Tua's cooked.
But he wants to let the Cardinals know his hip is fine.
Right. Please eat some of that money for us, Cardinals.
Tua's like, oh man, Arizona's got great golf. Great golf.
And they're playing a dome.
He's gonna him and Marvin Harrison. Is like, oh, this is great. All right, we'll take a break. Get you caught up with your porpoise props and other action. We'll give you your player to watch before the end of the game as well. Back with more after this.
Hurricanes basketball plays here.
Show for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM, and it's brought to us in part by the Lexus December to Remember sales event. Get offers on select models now through January 5th. It is that time. So let me just do this before we get to Porpoise Props here. Are you excited about today? Like just genuine?
No.
Are you doing this out of obligation, or are you like, I'm kind of are you intrigued? Where are you? What's your excitement level at?
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued for sure. By the way, Ian Rappaport is really going all in on McDaniel safe, Tua out. Like that's what he's on NFL Network, and he's saying Mike McDaniel's likely back in 2026, and Tua Tagovailoa is toast. So that has kind of shifted my, I guess, opinion of today's game, which is, man, maybe Mike McDaniel really does see something in Quinn Ewers. Maybe. But, yeah, I'm more intrigued than anything. I don't think we're going to walk away from this game saying, for sure, Quinn Ewers is the guy. I don't think there's any chance at hell that's a possibility. But, man, if Jalen Waddle is being asked if he feels bad for Tua, and he won't just come out and say, I feel bad for Tua, and you're saying, well, yeah, because he finally has a guy who can throw the ball more than 30 yards. I'm kind of excited to see that. Like, this guy has an arm. I don't know if he's good or not, but he can sling it. Let's see somebody sling the effing ball around for once.
Dan Day, what's your excitement level? Are you really excited? Kind of excited? What's your excitement level for today's game?
I'm super excited for this game. Look,
Super
it's the
excited.
Dolphins. It's the Dolphins. It's Sunday. You only get a small amount each year of games. This is your home team. They're playing Joe Burrow, the storyline with your 7th-round quarterback and the number 1 overall pick who you wanted and everybody wanted. It's awesome. Anytime the Dolphins are playing, any given Sunday, I'm excited.
All right, well, let's get excited.
The eternal optimist, Dan Day. The eternal optimist.
Let us get to some gambling and a little segment we like to call Porpoise Props.
It's time for
I don't know about you, but that looked like money.
Porpoise Props.
Hopefully you didn't jinx us.
Props. I got to take 2 out of that open now, too.
Have you officially retired our Tua on your show? Like, now it's not even a question.
Man.
It's done?
It was kind of I haven't officially announced it, but I mean, it was redundant. I mean, he got suspended after week 1 of the season against the Colts, and he never got back for parole. Like, he never even got a job and got a regular level of housing. Like, so he never even got the opportunity. That there was never good behavior from Tua. He could have gotten there if he would have won. I think on Monday we would have had a hearing, but so I think it is dead. It almost feels like I could write the obituary, but I think everybody already knows. We've already had the funeral. There's not really a point to put anything in the paper about it.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, Solana. Well, let's get to Porpoise Props here. Quinn Ewers, his over-under today is set at 188.5. 188.5. His over-under on touchdowns is set at 1.5. It's plus 180 for the over. Quinn Ewers, 2 touchdowns, 2-1. Does that do anything for you?
It does not, but I will tell you what I've already put in. Quinn Ewers, anytime touchdown, but not throwing. Like, anytime touchdown, rushing touchdown for Quinn Ewers. The Dolphins haven't had a guy who could QB sneak in a while. If they get down into the red zone, goal line situation, I could see McDaniel pulling that out of the playbook, saying, you know what? Let's effing do it. Let's go. Let's give it to our quarterback who's tall, who's big, and just let him bully his way into the end zone. So it's at plus 850. I put that in earlier this morning. Quinn Ewers, anytime touchdown.
All right.
But no, passing touchdowns over 1.5. There's no way I'm touching that. I think they're going to come out and try to play like this conservative style of game. They're going to run the football. They're going to lean heavy on the football, which, by the way, is the right way to do it. You're not just going to come out and let him sling it around. So I can't see him throwing 2 touchdowns today. I hope he does, but I can't see him.
Are we worried at all about a Mike Gesicki Bengals gritty?
Yes. I'm very worried about that. Has he had his revenge game against the Dolphins yet? Will this be it?
Who did he play? We went to the Patriots after the Dolphins.
Yeah, I
don't
think
recall.
he did. I think he did.
Feel like he did score a touchdown against the Dolphins.
I don't know if he scored a touchdown, but he definitely played against the Dolphins.
Jalen Waddle is 2-1 to get into the end zone today. If you're intrigued by 2 Jalen Waddle touchdowns, that's plus 1,200. Pretty juicy. Meanwhile, Devon Achane, 2 touchdowns is plus 250. Anytime is minus 180. Darren Waller's plus 250 to score a touchdown. Greg Dulcich, he's 5-1, plus 550 for Greg Dulcich.
He's got to be bummed Tua's bench because that was like Tua's favorite target.
He loved Dulcich.
Yeah.
Julian Hill, plus 1,200 for an anytime touchdown. Don't know if I got that in me anymore.
No, I'm done with that. That died with the Tua era.
Receptions for today. Devon Achane at plus 120. You think that he goes to Achane as a safety blanket a lot? I feel like that's kind of going to be the safety net for.
But what's it out?
The young QB.
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah. Running back, checkdowns, and tight ends, just like short yardage situations, always seem to be a decent route for a young quarterback.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like it's right there for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
like that.
You don't get plus on Devon Achane numbers a lot, and I just feel like 5 catches. Well, what did he do last week? Didn't he do both? Like he was kind of humming a little bit.
Did he catch passes last week? I feel like he didn't catch any passes last week.
Yeah, he led the team in receptions.
Yeah, I think he did.
Receptions.
That's why I'm kind of he leads the team in everything. Like that's why I'm like
brutal. That's a brutal stat to forget. Did he catch any passes? Yeah, he led the team in receptions.
It's okay.
I
understand.
Sense,
well, I will give everybody Salon. You were working. You were doing a Heat game at the time.
Yeah,
it's all good.
But I did watch the game the next day. It all seems like a big blur. I was just so upset because I knew the outcome already. I knew that we had lost.
I get you. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put in for the receptions. I like it. I'm gonna go with, and I feel like Jalen Waddle is gonna score a touchdown. And man, do I have the guts to go over to go 180? I do not.
So you think this game is gonna be somewhat high scoring? I mean, you've got
the Bengals defense is really bad. The Bengals defense is really bad, and the Dolphins got to go up against 2 wide receivers. Last time, I mean, they just started to look like a little more vulnerable in that secondary. Yeah, I could see a scenario where this is a pretty decently scoring game. It's a perfect day for football.
Yeah.
Neither team really has anything to lose. I just could see it be one of those games. I don't know. And also, I'm not like going crazy on it. Like I think I'm going to go with the receptions for Achane, and I'm going to go with Waddle. I think Waddle scoring a touchdown. That's 5-1. I mean, it's not the juice. If I go Quinn Ewers, if I go Quinn Ewers over on passing yards, 187.5. A Waddle anytime touchdown and Achane 4.5. It's plus 1,000. Should anybody be believing in Quinn for the win? We'll take a break here on Gameday Uncensored. We'll predict the game ball and get out of here as we get you ready for week 16 of the season. Back after this.
Scott Graham here from Westwood.
Get back to the Game Day Uncensored postgame show on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here on FM 104.3 WQAM. Let's predict the game ball, which is brought to us by our Southern Lexus dealers and the Lexus December Remember sales event. Get offers on select models until January 5th. Learn more at Lexus.com. All right, Solana, week 16, if the Dolphins are to win today, predict the game ball, dude. Who is going to be the person that brings it home for them?
Can I go Devon Achane?
I'll allow it. You've had a couple weeks off.
Why not? No, I like the idea of the Quinn Ewers game ball. Like somehow, not that he has, I saw somebody put in our chat, 375 yards, 4 touchdowns. I don't think that's going to happen, but I could see Quinn Ewers, 1 full week of prep here, having a clean football game, Tobin. The Dolphins leaning on the run game, doesn't make any mistakes, and this team ends up somehow, some way winning this football game. I could see Quinn Ewers getting the game ball in the locker room by just being a quality start for him in his first ever start. So I'll go with the dream scenario. I'll go with Quinn Ewers today.
Man, I mean, you're going to talk about like a such a chopped down version of cocaine if the Dolphins get a great game from Quinn Ewers. We're like, yeah. Like the idea that everyone's going to be like, oh, why didn't he start earlier? Why wasn't he the guy? Dan Day, what about you? Predict the game ball today, man. Who do you got?
Yeah, everybody's been talking about Jordan Brooks because he is having an all-pro year, but quietly, lately, and pretty much all season, Terrell Dotson has been fantastic, and he's been very opportunistic on defense, and I think you're going to have to lean on the defense today, and I think he's just the guy to maybe get a big punch out or another turnover, an interception, so I'm going to go towards Terrell Dotson.
Get that squeezing of the thighs for interceptions. Terrell Dotson, the setting up the Minkah Fitzpatrick 2-point conversion interception. Terrell Dotson, agreed. Dan Day, he has had a nice year for the Miami Dolphins. I am going to go with Jalen Waddle simply because he didn't feel bad for Tua. Like he didn't feel bad for Tua. That speaks to me that he has been ready and hopeful. And I think Mike McDaniel is going to go in his ear after me. He goes, Jalen, I know you don't do the Waddle a lot, but it would really help me if you did, because Stephen Ross loves doing it. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying, if one feels in the mood to waddle, today may be the day.
Oh, but if he waddles after a Quinn Ewers passing touchdown, that's the ultimate sign of disrespect to Tua, is it not?
Yes.
Is it not like, oh, season's over, I'm going to pull out the Waddle now because I had reserved it when we were winning, but now I'm going to pull it out after you got your ass benched and I'm getting thrown touchdown passes from the Rook?
He's finding his joy.
He's finding his joy again. Yeah. It's getting going all of a sudden, I don't know. Speaking of joy, by the way, this Heat team better get it together tonight. They got the Knicks tonight. Big underdogs at Madison Square Garden. I'm trying to find this. By the way, Hard Rock, stop being cowards. I want to bet over under. I know you can put a line for Khalil Ware threes.
Yeah, they haven't put that up yet.
What's up with that, dude? I want to go out there. I want to put some action on Khalil Ware and what we got going on there. So
you know what I want to do? I want to put some action on Tyler Hero, but you can't because he misses every game.
Yep, he doesn't have very reliable feet. It's a tough thing for a basketball player. It's one of those things too. It's like people have been wanting to like write his eulogy on his Heat career and ruin. It's like I can't even do that. He doesn't play. Like it's one of these things that's frustrating. He hasn't even been, and that's honestly been the number one critique that Riley had on him the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and it's shades of Tua where he got called out for not being healthy. Gave you one season where he was healthy. He was a Pro Bowler. Led the league in passing, and the following year was just back to being the same old guy who was concussed and couldn't be available. Tyler, kind of the same thing last year. Played 77 games, and this year he's played 6.
Yeah, I do like Bam calling himself out, but like call yourself out with some buckets. Let's go, dude. Enough already.
Yeah.
Anyway, Let's take a look. Solana today. Is there a matchup in particular you're most interested in? We got Bills. They're still in it for the AFC East. You know, they did win that big game last week against the Patriots that we were texting during, and they had their big comeback. But they have the Cleveland Browns today. They're 10.5-point road favorites in Cleveland today. You got Chargers and Cowboys. Chargers, of course, trying to cinch up a wild card spot. You got a battle for the number one pick, possibly, in the Jets and Saints. You got a battle for the NFC South and the Bucks and Panthers. Those are the 1 o'clock games that kind of have consequence. Any of those that stand out to you?
Yeah, I do. I do like the Buffalo game in Cleveland. I'll definitely keep an eye on that. To me, the Chargers are a fascinating situation right now because the fact that Justin Herbert, to kind of make things worse, Justin Herbert breaks his wrist, breaks his hand, has surgery on a Tuesday, and is back playing the following Monday to beat the Kansas City Chiefs is one of those things where it's like just throwing fire or gas on our fire, right? Just miserable.
No,
just
true.
miserable. But I think that's a good game with Dallas.
Yeah, on top of the fact that he had that play where he shook off Jalen Phillips like a rag doll to throw the ball. So it's been that. I'm definitely locked in on Bucks and Panthers just because I can't believe I'm about to be in a world where the Panthers win a division. Like, if that happens, that's crazy. That is the weirdest division in sports.
Easy.
You can't wrangle it. Every year it feels like it flip-flops and reshuffles and weird stuff happens in the NFC South. There's so much last to first. I can't figure it out. It baffles me. Like, the Buccaneers are still 3-point road favorites because I don't think anybody believes that they're watching this with the Panthers either. But I don't know, dude. It's been crazy ever since the Dolphins lost that game, and we're like, come on, you got to win this game against their backup running back. But that one doesn't look as embarrassing for whatever reason by the end of the year.
Hey, by the way, like the Bucks, if that was any other team, people would be all over them. They started 5-1, Tobin. They were 6-2 at one point. And they lost to New England. They lost to Buffalo. They lost to the Chargers. They beat Arizona barely. It squeaked out a victory. And then they lost to New Orleans and Atlanta in back-to-back weeks. Like, they would be getting if that was the Cowboys, like, they would be getting crushed. I know they're injured, by the way. I know they're all banged up, but still, I mean, they had a massive lead on the division, and to lose to the Saints and the Falcons in back-to-back weeks is pretty depressing.
On your late slate, you got the Jaguars and Broncos, both double-digit wins right now. Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. You got the Steelers and the Lions. Detroit, of course, trying to keep their head above water, and Pittsburgh trying to keep that division lead today. Detroit's a 7.5-point favorite at Ford Field. And then, the Texans got to keep pace too. They got the Raiders today. They should steamroll. They're 14.5-point favorites. And then your Sunday night football game, is Patriots and Ravens. Now, mind you, this was supposed to be a Sunday night football game. This Dolphins game got flexed out 2 weeks ago. Now, it was the Bengals' fault. They lost first. But Sunday night football making the correct decision, a correct flex for the Patriots and Ravens. What about on the late games that intrigues you, Solana?
Not complaining about that, by the way. Hey, are you buying the Lions? Are you like do you buy that the Lions are still a good team?
Yes, because I think their running backs and Amon-Ra St. Brown are awesome. Like, and that's a good division. It's probably one of the better divisions in the sport. Now that Jordan Love is out with the head injury, that's always a squirrely one. And they lost Micah Parsons. It kind of feels like Green Bay's mojo's running out a little bit. They're getting some bad stuff to end this year. So yeah, I think they could still sneak in there and make something happen. Do you?
I think so. I think I was really high on them. I put a bet in for them to win the Super Bowl after like week 5. And it's been downhill. The Packers having that tie rather than the loss is kind of huge for them.
Yep.
We'll see with Jordan Love, but it looks like the Lions are going to have to win out. So,
that game was so good on Thursday Night Football. I can't believe the Seattle was able to pull that off and come back and beat the Rams, and the Rams dropped now. Like, we have a situation like last year with the NFC North where they're going to have to go now on the road because that division is so hotly contested. They should do something about those football rules. This is 2 years in a row that's happened where a team that's probably going to be second in their conference and wins is going to end up the 5 seed.
Yeah, but what's even crazier is the Super Bowl favorites right now in the NFC are going to end up being the 6 or 7 seed. Like, play a wild card game on the road.
Crazy.
It's stupid. It's stupid.
And then finally on Monday Night Football, you got 49ers and taking on Phillip Rivers and the Colts. But the 49ers at 10-4, they are 5.5-point favorites on the road on prime time.
ESPN lucked into like the best matchup possible here because there was going to be a good game either way. Niners, Colts were money this year. People love watching the Colts. But the fact that it's Phillip Rivers in prime time after like a decent-ish showing last week.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
decent first half, but
he didn't die on the field. Like, I consider that a victory.
Oh, I'm not kidding when I tell you. Like, I was locked in on that game. I found a pirate link to watch it.
Yep.
And I had to catch me. I had to watch this game. I was riveted. And they kind of played respectable. They kept Seattle. Look how good Seattle was this last week. Now, I knew it took them a while to get off the canvas, but they stifled their defense, their offense. And Phillip Rivers, they almost got away with it. I mean, if it wasn't for these kickers just having robotic legs now all of a sudden, they may have gotten away with that.
It's crazy what these guys are doing. By the way, Tobin, I'm in a fantasy football league, and I'm in the toilet bowl. So I was bottom 2.
Oof.
And last week and this week, the loser of the toilet bowl has to do, remember the ESPN, the magazine? Remember they used to do those body issues?
Yes.
I've got to do a photo shoot if I end up as the loser. I'm in the hole. I lost last week by 9 points. I have Lamar Jackson on my team. I need a classic home Lamar Jackson game where, like, he goes for 50 fantasy points, 5 touchdowns. Like, I need a big effing game from Lamar Jackson today. So I am tuned in to the Sunday Night Football matchup against the Patriots.
We don't have much time left, so let me get this straight. There is a chance you're going to be sliding nude into a base with water like Christian Yelich?
Yeah, I'm going to have to be like Prince Fielder, concealing my manhood with a bat. Some iteration. Since I'm the pickleball player, I'll probably use a pickleball paddle, but yeah.
Is your fiance excited to shoot this?
No, she doesn't know yet.
Oh,
she doesn't know.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that's our show, everybody. Catch Dan Day today on Game Day Uncensored post-game edition, 4 p.m. right here. So you guys will get your calls in, and we'll talk to you all next time.
We've come to the end of another Game Day Uncensored, Week 15 edition.